Wait. Hello. Am I live? Can't tell. But then I forgot how to be a streamer. Wait. Ma. Hi, chat. Good evening. Thank you so much for the sub. It's been 84 long years. I have aged 84 years. Makasih, babe. Oh, I forgot that's a thing. Oh, I haven't heard that in so long. Hi, guys. Hi, Chance. Shut up. Wow, that was a rude awakening. I'm so awake now. Oh, I haven't heard that in so long. My life has been so peaceful. We have a thing for that too? Thank you for the gifted sub. I have no recollection of how it sound, but thank you, Sasa, for the cheers. No, oh, this is gonna be great, isn't it? We're gonna rediscover the sound bites together, chat. Good evening, good morning. What time is it there? I have no idea. Are you in mute? Miu is currently in her playpen. She's whining because I'm not there. Oh my god! First of all, I haven't been on my PC since I've been on the semi-hiatus thingamajig. Chat. I'm rediscovering the dirty dishes. Am I dreaming? Am I hallucinating? What the? I look away for like 1 second. How is that still? Oh, my eyes are blurry. Where are my glasses? Oh, I've put on my glasses. Can I just confirm? Was that? And then thank you for the 50 subs. I was looking away trying to find something, and I hear. I don't know how to feel. Thank you for the gifted subs. You cannot escape. Also, me and Kanna be healthy ones. Thank you. Thank you. We don't have a... We're playing a game with the girlies tonight, chat, at 9ish, I think. So I don't... Why is the command still there? Someone, anyone. Thank you so much, guys. I honestly didn't think you guys would show up tonight. First of all, I didn't... Okay, you forgot something. What did I do now? What did I forget? What did I do? I could have sworn I double-checked. I almost forgot my charger and I forgot my drink, but I got my drink. Chat, we've been waiting. What did I forget? 84 years. Can I have a full disclosure? Makasih, babe. Thank you for the cheers, Sasa. I totally lost track. I fixed it. I was gonna pass out earlier, right? And then I don't know what time or when, but then I checked the Discord server, chat. I checked the Discord server and I saw that Yabu posted a schedule for like Kanna would be playing with the girly pops. I'm like, oh, I am. Oh, I am. And then unconfirmed POV. I'm like, oh, I can open a POV. I didn't forget about the collab, but I was like, I forgot that I can open a POV. I didn't forget about the collab. I forgot about the fact that I can have a POV. Did you know? So anyway, thank you, Yamu, for posting the schedule. I'm dumb. Thank you. I'm here now. I woke up. Yippee! Thank you so much for the sub vendors. And thank you for the hydration, by the way. No wish you should make. Yes! I feel like I'm back in time. I came back. I streamed for what? 10-13 minutes, and I've been kindly reminded of all the alerts that I have that I thought would be gone by now. Yippee! Oh, my head is everywhere. That's true. Oh, chat. Okay, brief updates. Mew's recovering well. For those of you who don't know, I've been fully taking care of Mew because Mew was hurt. It shouldn't last. It shouldn't give a lasting you know what I mean? Like, there's no permanent damage, probably. Scar, maybe, but like, it's fine. Originally, the doctor said that it would take a month. Probably like a month for recovery. And because basically Mew's still a baby, right, chat? Mew's still like a really small puppy. Now she's heavy. But she's a very young puppy, so she can't get like, what do you call it? An operation? No? Procedure? Surgery? She can't get surgery because she can't be... What is it called? Sedated? What? What the heck is... You know when you go under and you're like loopy and you're like unconscious? What is that called? Oh my god, a hype chest! Open honk shoe. Honk shoe Mimi. How does it know that I was just like honk shoe Mimi? Sedated is the word. Yeah, Mia's too young to be sedated. So she couldn't get sutures. Sutures? Sued? What is it called? Sutures? Sutures? Future? Suture? That thing... It's been so long since I've heard Kanna say random ass word. What do you mean? I never say any random ass word. Sutures. Yeah. Stitches! I forgot that that's a word! I've only been talking to Mew, chat. I just want you to know that the only living creature that I've really been talking to is just Mew. And clearly, I don't use words. I've been talking to myself for weeks. This is the first time I'm talking to... Other than her doctors, I guess. Reintroduce me back to the human language. Thank you. Yes, stitches. 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 Oh, we gotta go soon. We're probably gotta go and like... Yes. Stitches. Stitches? It was pretty bad. Basically, the inner part... There were bite marks, bite wounds, bite, blood, wound thing. Is wound is a word, right? She got bite wounds on the top of her head and the back of her head. Yes, that. And then the worst part was her ear. What's this side? What's this side? This side? Her right ear. I can't English. Wow. again, I'm so sorry. I haven't talked to another human, like, people in a while. This side is the right side, right? And the right side. This side? Her inner right ear was basically torn in half on the inside. I don't know how. I cannot illustrate, but like I'll show. You know, I'll MS paint it later, chat. I did forget English language. It was like oh, in half on the inside part. Thingamajig thing. Yeah. So like it would be better if they could stitch it back together, but they couldn't. So you know, we can't see where you're tapping. But yeah. Anyway, she's getting better and her wound is smaller, and we might have to go for the collab very soon. So yeah, very briefly, I'm alive, Miu is alive, all is well. My place is just full of dog stuff, chat. I have 2 pee pads. I have 2 pee trays. I have 2 peeing trays, which she is now refusing to use, by the way. The picky ass baby. So many dog treats everywhere, and her toys are everywhere, and I'm living in a dog den, chat. Don't know what to tell you. Hi. Okay, I'm alive. Sorry. I haven't talked to humans in a while. I'm gonna run non-stop if nobody stops me. So tonight's chat, before I go on like a train and I never stop yapping. Oh my god, I can talk to people again. Oh my god, chat, I'm never gonna stop. Oxygen. I've been talking to myself for a while, chat. Cut me some slack. I'm here. Wait, okay, first of all, pop off the yap is great. Thank you. Oh my god, my brain is everywhere. And then thank you for the gifted subs. I know I said it earlier and I got traumatized, so I thanked you, but it's out of my head. But thank you for the gifted sub. I'm gonna I'll try to be very sane during the collab. I've been talking to myself for a little bit. Okay, I should go. I'm gonna go to the thing, and I think I joined the server. Chat, I haven't played the game. I don't know what it's about. I've been in a cave. Someone help me win. How do you win the game again? Oh, someone will teach me. Give me a second while I plop. Did you download? Yes. Oh yeah, okay. I gotta go, wait. I gotta go. I think this is the place. This is the bear with me. Huh? Ako standby, Daddy! Oh, I'm muted. Aren't I already here? I'm literally here. Look. Am I not inside? Oh. Sorry. Oh! I didn't know. I love you. I'm gonna WhatsApp you right now, but my phone is dead. Wait. Yes. Up to you. Oh, right. Okay. Oops.
People are not these they're just lovely people. Okay, bentar. Create
There
server. Okay, maybe I should change the name of everything.
I'm going to go with the game. Really.
Okay. Okay, wait. Should I just put the maximum amount of players as like how many players we actually have?
Yeah, I think it would be safer
Okay.
that way.
Okay. I'm making a server again. Here we go. It's
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, I put the info in the
Yeah.
channel.
Okay.
Yippee!
Private
Yippee!
Yippee!
Wait, what?
Wait, should I,
Is
should
it the
I?
same thing as before?
Asia.
Oops.
Think so.
The chat, you didn't see that chat.
Ala! Oh no! Dude, I just show it on the stream. Hold on, I didn't know. I just show it.
I'm done. Me too. Someone
Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this again?
Chat,
Oh
chat.
my
You
God.
don't see anything. Shut the fuck up. Where is the
Oh my god!
There.
Holy shit!
Wait.
Dios mío!
Shut
Okay,
up.
let me remake this.
Wait,
No,
is
I'm
this the
saying-
same as before?
Oh, no, we're making another one.
Yes, please, thank you. I'm going
Yeah.
to turn off the.
Okay,
didn't do it. I'm
okay.
sorry.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
do you have tags on your server? Because I still can't find it.
Okay, 1 second. I should tag it as what do you want me to tag it?
Asia.
Tag it. I had the tag though.
Yeah,
Got
I
it.
got in.
Yeah.
Tag.
That. Okay, wait. I'm gonna create the server and I'm gonna send it here. Okay, cool. Holy shit. Yippee!
Oh, okay, I'm just going to follow.
I'll try not
Okay.
to leak things again.
No, it's okay. Don't worry. It happened.
Wait, okay, let me look.
Okay, let's try this one.
Masters only. Cool.
Yeah, you guys are painting masters, right? Right? Oh, then why do I have you guys here?
Wait.
Search server kan ya?
Yeah.
Kayaknya deh. Okay, wait. Yeah, they're all in.
I mean,
Mostly. We're missing 2 people.
I'm in, right? I'm not dumb.
Well,
Okay, we got Ray.
letting me find.
Girl, is your internet even plugged in?
I don't think we'd be in call right now if it was.
Oh yeah, that's true.
oh wait, sebelumnya itu kan ada kayak allow apa gitu pas.
Why is my back broken? I think it's
just
allowing
allowed it.
for like a connection thingamaboop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just allow or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a thing that was like allow. That's like a. It was like a connection thing.
Yeah, connection.
In Windows. Yeah, on like Windows.
R is
admin
for pose
or whatever.
Windows admin.
Okay.
Oh, it's like
This
a
is all I
dialog
know how
box
to
that shows
do.
up on window. Yeah. Screen share to us.
Hey.
Oh,
Let me bow down to Kanjang. This is all I know how to do.
Wait, real question.
Yeah.
Is Michi talking or not? I'm just double checking.
No, I'm not even hearing anything.
No,
Okay,
I don't think
I
she's
don't know.
talking at all. But she
Yeah.
did say that she sounds low AF.
Oh.
She's
Yeah,
not
so it's
feeling
okay.
well, right?
She's not
Just
feeling
double
well.
checking.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Just
No,
like
it's because
mime
when
or
I talk,
something.
I sound like this. I just woke up.
Girl, that's so sexy. Girl,
Oh my
girl, that's
God.
so sexy. Oh my god.
One second.
Oh my god.
Oh, she's warming up her voice.
Can you do?
It's
Try
the
to
Fuki
click
tiny
the
AF.
not
It totally is.
specified tag
not
in the game,
specified.
Not.
Yeah.
and then just
Oh, it
search
matters.
server.
Huh, I wonder why.
Oh.
Wait, let me try to add you
Okay.
again. It's okay. If this doesn't work, we're playing Crunker. I don't think you can play Crunker on your stream.
Wait, what's the version of your game?
Oh yeah.
1.5.0.
Oh, you have to update it.
You have to
It's
update it.
1.5.1.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's why.
She's so smart.
She's so smart. It's almost like she does this for a living,
Maybe
guys.
go setting
right?
first.
Setting.
Yeah, setting first in the yeah that one. Yep. Okay. And then
Copy
properties. Update.
Yeah.
Should be.
And then what do I do?
Oh. How about integrate ini? Nanti dulu deh. Dan version betasnya.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it?
I don't know why it's not updated.
No. Just go to your game. Open right click Meta Chameleon.
Oh, I can show the game
Properties.
because I don't show the thing.
Michi sounds so sexy right now. I don't know how to feel.
Go to properties.
Go on.
Properties.
Yep.
Yeah,
and then go
Michi, you
to
sound so sexy
installed
right now,
files.
girl.
Girl, shut the fuck up. It is.
I won't
Verify integrity
you.
of
I
games.
won't you.
Yep.
on
Yang
the
paling bawah,
lowest.
Yep. That one.
Amazing. And then just wait. Sorry.
Yippee!
Give me like 2 more minutes.
It's okay.
You're good.
You're good. This
was
cannot be worse than the time that when I was on Michi's stream, my game did not work for half of the stream.
Which one? Oh, was it the?
Unfortunate Avenue.
Ah.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. This will always happen.
Kalau gitu, while we wait, introduce.
Oh yeah, is everyone ready?
Wait, hold on. Aku nggak tahu tiba-tiba keluar. Wait, hold on. Let me.
Wait, we're
I don't know what happened. I don't want to leak again.
No, apa? Oh my god, wait, you can walk like this? This is so funny.
yes, you can.
Okay.
Wait for me.
Do it!
Okay, this should be not as heavy. Oh, okay, there we go.
Okay.
Yahoo!
What is that?
Can. Nah!
I found it!
Yay!
What the
Why
hell?
are you colored? What
Why
the
are you
hell?
colored?
Oh,
Why are you
racist? Whoa.
Damn. I'm just gonna be in a corner. Just don't mind me.
Okay, have you guys played this before?
No.
No.
Okay, I want you guys to familiarize yourselves with the paint tool while we do this. And let's all
Okay.
introduce
I pressed the
ourselves.
wrong button.
Okay.
Did you just
Blip out of
leave?
existence?
Did you just yeet?
I was about to
F is
familiarize with the
pain
tools.
mode.
Okay, presses exit. I'm like, wait.
Go
that
block.
was
Oh my god.
not-
Oh my god.
I'm done.
This is so funny.
I'm smarter
What's
than this.
Wait. Will the toggle missing if we are in game?
Which toggle?
Yang ada tulisan one town, airpost,
Oh,
F.
kayaknya ada deh.
Oh,
Ini masih
yeah.
ada deh.
Tetap ada kan? Berarti nggak perlu dihafal kan?
Enggak apa-apa. Aman, aman.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm so glad.
I
because
will
I'm
not
bad at memorizing.
remember. Why
Wait, I don't have
am I
a one
like
button.
this? What the hell is this position? How do I go back?
Lee, what is your
What the-
face?
I think I broke my back.
Why you're like that?
I don't know how to go back.
What?
Oh
Press
my
R?
god.
Did I break my back? What the hell? I was painting. What?
Uh-huh.
And then
No,
it just
we-
kept. What?
Oh,
What?
Oh. Oh, wait.
Oh, okay.
Holy shit.
Space
yeah,
bar
I
hold
should.
3D eyedropper. I'll be. Is that a? We're. Well, shit. We have.
Okay, I think we did it.
Do I have to
Nice.
exit for the? Oh.
I am a
What the hell?
cactus. W.
What is?
W.
Oh my god, guys.
So
So
that's
crazy. I have gotten like 800 subs from one person today.
Oh,
Oh, crap! I have
Another
no art
Toby has
skills.
hit the towers, guys! Oh wait, 1,000 now. Shit, bro!
Brush size. Wow!
Name my house after him.
It's good. You have to get birthday presents every single day of this entire week.
I hope so, because I didn't get one for myself.
What the
Yeah.
I might be screwed.
Why? What's going
Why?
on?
This is the extent of my painting. No, that's the back of my head.
What?
Oh.
This is the best I can do. Can I just be the hunter? And this is the back of my head. I didn't know.
Wait, I need to be cheeked up.
It's so hard though. Are you sure?
I need to be cheeked up.
Hold on.
Yeah, I'll
I'm
stick with this. It's fine. I can see myself smile, and that makes me happy. That's okay.
Hold on. I'm gonna this and
Muna is
Yeah?
so good.
Guys, I cannot see Muna. Guys, where is she? Is she behind the cactus? Guys, where is she? I cannot find her.
Oh my god, I'm having fun.
Yeah. You sound so surprised. Oh my god, I'm having fun. I don't think we'll start having fun once we gotta hunt each other. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Oh, don't say that.
Hindi na
Maybe we will.
Lu nga pa nete kagwan.
Sorry.
Whoa! What?
I was admiring your work.
Oh,
Wait,
thank
for
you.
those who have played this game, do they have like music inside, or there's no music at all?
No, there's no
music at
music.
all.
There's no music, so I've been playing Mario, but like Nintendo music this whole time.
You want to see something funny that I found
Yeah.
out?
Yeah. Why
Alright,
do you have a
look at Ray.
shit stain?
Don't worry about it. Look at Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey! Hey! Hey!
Oh, wow!
What?
Damn! Don't make out with the floor, man! Fuck you!
Whoa!
Whoa, guys. Oh, I'm
Just for the birthday girl, sit back down.
I'm just.
Oh, and then you can sit on.
Bang up. Oh.
I'll sit on.
Oh, bang. Oh,
Threesome.
that's crazy. That's absolute sin. Why is everyone laying down now?
My stream gets fucking banned.
Guys.
Should we start? Are we ready?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Oh, you want
Okay.
to see this too? It works on this too.
It works
Oh,
on
not
what
really.
too?
Maybe.
What is this?
Nope.
Oh,
Oh my god.
Banger.
Oh, that's crazy. We get 69.
What?
whoa.
Yeah, wait. How do you do that?
Wait,
Skill,
what?
Skill.
Skill, baby. Oh.
What?
Oh, shoot.
Oh my god.
This is like, I'm like,
Barajar.
was he begging for forgiveness? I'm dogezai.
Sure you are, girl. Sure you are.
Moshiwaki gozaimasen.
Moshiwaki gozaimasen. Oh my
Moshiwaki
god.
gozaimasen. Banger.
Oh my god. We got another 200 subs. Oh, we were distracted.
Let's go!
Oh my god. Oh. Let's start then? Shall we start before everybody gets sucked off?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, how many hunters do we want?
Only one.
Alright. Only
Yes.
one?
One is enough.
One is enough, yeah? Who
Trying
wants to be the
a
hunter?
Starfish.
Di randomin aja.
Randomin aja ya.
Yeah, I
Okay.
guess random for now. Yeah.
And then we'll do like a random map juga.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, someone in Ollie's chat mentioned that no one did intros.
Oh yeah! Okay, we should do intros first. We should do intros. Lupa.
Ignoring me. Maybe you guys hate me. You guys secretly hate me.
I know, I
just-
just assume everyone knows me. Gala.
Sorry, I'll dog is up.
So,
Okay guys, who are we starting from?
Yes.
You have to do that.
How do you do that?
Take care.
Oh.
Oh my fucking god.
Banger.
Is that
Okay,
it?
I'll start guys! Hello everybody!
Oh, you guys do that!
Yeah, let's start for me. Office idol by day, office lady by day, idol by night. It's your favorite vocally cover artist, Richie. No, it's my birthday week this week, and I have my lovely, amazing friends on with me as we play Mega Chameleon. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
Not Mona manually doing it. Click F, girl. Click F.
What?
So this. Nice.
Yay!
Oh my god, is that how you do it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, that's how you do it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, next person. Ollie.
It's a kawaii zombie idol from Whole Life Indonesia second generation. Crazy. Ori desu. Happy birthday. Almost birthday, Rachie.
Yay! Next, Muna.
Okay, Muna da yo. Hi, I am Muna Hashina from Whole Life Indonesia Generation 1. Nice to meet you and happy almost birthday, Rachie.
Next, Michi.
Hi, Michi. Sorry, my voice is a little gone. I was a little sick today, but we're here. Happy birthday! Woo!
Thank you. Next, Kanna.
Konnichiwa, my name is Kanna. Nice to meet you. I'm here because Rachie's amazing and it's almost her birthday. Happy almost birthday!
Last but not least, Ray.
Hi everyone, I'm Ray Levere. I'm also here because it is Miss Mav's birthday soon, so yippee!
All right, I gotta say something real quick.
Yeah.
Click escape. Go to graphics.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
make sure you have motion blur to 0, because I know some of you guys are motion sick.
Yeah.
And then another hack is when you draw, click F and then click V. That way your shadow disappears, depending on whether you want your shadow or
V.
not.
Oh.
Has left for some reason.
Don't shut. Nothing happened. Give me like 1 second. I swear
Girl, I'm
sure
to
that you
God.
don't.
I swear to God.
Wait, don't
I
click
swear.
V when you're not clicking F, because then you'll be unmuted from the game.
I
Talking about that, do you
swear
wanna?
to God.
Oh yeah, do we
you
want to
wanna
do
talk in
voice comms or do we want to just do Discord?
I think Discord.
I think Discord.
Okay.
Map's pretty big, right? I think. Right?
Yeah. That's a little bit. Yeah. It's okay, we can chit chat.
Do you want to
Okay.
combine
Have you-
chats or no? It's a question as well.
Oh, we can combine chats, huh?
We can combine chat.
Yeah.
Let me figure this out. I only do this part-time. Give me a sec.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, I forgot about that. I didn't stream on Twitch.
Yeah. It's okay, we'll figure it out. Eventually. Is it stream together? Start streaming together?
Yeah.
I think.
Oh. Okay.
You want to see something?
Okay. Oh. Start sharing chat. Okay, share chat enabled. And then who else is streaming right now?
Me and
Kanna?
Kanna and wait, I haven't checked Twitch again. Was Michi streaming? Are you not streaming?
No,
Okay, so it's
Michi's
me
not
and
streaming. She's dying. Okay, you guys have been invited. You guys can join anytime, I think.
hold on, let me check.
You can also just click the lower part of the link. You can copy the link. And
Oh,
then
there's a
send the
link!
to the group chat.
Dang, girl.
Yeah.
Thank you. I would not know what to do without you. Miss
Girl,
Full
Have you
Time.
turned on force ping?
What's force ping?
Force taunt, I think.
Force taunt? No. Is that in general game settings? No.
Yeah, it's in this big button.
In which big button?
If you see where I am, the character with the shit stain on
Oh
her ass,
shit. Oh yeah.
it's in
Okay.
this
Got
big
it.
button.
Okay. Force taunt. Yes. How many seconds is usual?
Up
How
to
many
you.
did you like?
Basically, force taunt just makes
Is it
them like make a
naughty?
Yeah.
sound, so they can't like go non-verbal forever.
Right. Maybe we can do like 60 seconds. What's good, chat?
Can do.
20 seconds is normal.
I have no idea. What is going on?
Okay.
We're doing the the general settings. with
General
the
settings
lobby.
right now. Yeah. Maybe like 20. We'll do 30 seconds for now, and then we'll figure it out. Okay, there we go.
I wonder where Mona and Ollie is. Oh God.
Are they here?
Work?
Is everyone here?
No.
Nope,
I
nope,
can't
they're
see
gone.
them. Oh,
Nope, they're
man.
gone. Oh, lovely.
Dude, with skills like these, I'm scared. Oh God.
So I am
They're
so.
so blended in.
Oh my god, I can't even see them anymore.
Okay. There's
How do
what?
I join that thingamaboob?
Wait,
What?
do you see the link in Discord?
Me. Yes.
That one?
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
Technology.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah. Waiting for host or something.
Eh?
I
Really?
love this piano chair,
what?
this
Maybe
other
you?
chair,
The except-
piano, the buildings with the cactus. Oh, so natural.
What are they're so- they did well. They did really well with this. It really shows you like everything that you need to know about this game. There's paint, there's stuff, there's people.
There's people.
And then they even have like a little credits here so we don't have to look and watch, you know, at the end of the game. Yay.
It's,
Well, what is she what is she doing?
it-
Okay, are we ready?
So heavy.
Ready.
It says stream together has ended. Oh. Oh, I'll copy again for you, girl.
I'm
try this.
sorry. Wait.
No, you're okay.
Breakdown. Oh.
There we go.
Ollie,
All right.
What the fuck was that?
Ay.
Let's go.
I'm playing the piano right now. Woohoo.
Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah.
Ajay! How did you get there? Ajay! What's going on? What the fuck? How do you get to see this?
Wait, where?
What the heck?
Ya udah.
How?
Udah.
Oh.
Secret.
Oh.
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 Right,
you
are
can
you guys ready
climb.
to begin?
Yes, are we ready, guys?
Let's ready. Let's do
Okay.
it.
3, 2, 1, let's go! Oh, never mind.
Count again, girl. It's okay.
Oh.
That's natural. You meant to do that. You just want to
I
flex
meant
the
to
fact
do
that
this.
you can count.
I'm. 1 comes after 12.
I have no idea. I'm a VTuber.
7.
You only. Oh wait,
Oh.
wait. There's a gun. Oh shit!
Oh, you're
There's
the
a
hunter then.
I'm the hunter.
Holy shit.
Oh
Holy
shit.
shit.
Where do I
Holy.
go?
What the?
Oh, be careful, guys.
Oh shit.
I
Wait, how
have
much time? 46.
bad eyesight.
Oh shit. Oh,
Oh
shit.
shit.
Okay. Okay. Paint mode. Oh god. Wait.
All
Oh
right.
shit.
You guys got this. Please go easy on me. I'm stupid. I'm just
What's
an
paint
office
mode
worker.
again?
F.
F.
F. Is this too little time? Maybe I should give you guys a little bit more time next time.
Yeah.
Should we redo this again? And then I can give
No,
you guys
it's
more
okay.
time?
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
Never be sweaty. Oh, just be good.
I don't know.
What if I need to be sweaty to be good? Uh-oh. Oh, shit. Oh, we got the farm. All right.
Oh, shit.
All right. I get 5 minutes to look for you guys, but you guys only get 20 seconds to actually like blend in. All right. All right. I see how it is. That's a little unfair.
Huh?
Can I?
Huh?
You'll never find me.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
Huh?
Paint mode.
Huh?
Paint mode.
Loh,
I hear that.
mas mo
Oh,
niyo
yeah,
di
we can-
belakang?
Oh, we can taunt. Yeah, right.
Don't taunt me, I'm baby. Where is everyone? What am I
If you
supposed to be on
click,
the lookout for?
If you're already out of the drawing tool, you can click 5 and 4 to look around the map.
Oh.
Oh.
That way, I can tell exactly what you guys look like. Wait, I lied. We're doing infection.
We're doing
Never mind.
infection. So once we do that, everyone has to look for everyone else. That's different, right?
Yeah.
There's a missed spot ranking. There's people? Wait, I think you guys are too good for me. If I shoot
No.
randomly, then I don't get HP, no? But then I die, right? If I shoot
There's
too many times at the wrong
HP.
place. Or is that not the case? No, it's not the case. So I can just like hit everything, right?
No, you can
Yeah.
hit anything.
It can't.
Yeah.
You should have enjoyed the math a little bit more.
If I see a bug, I'm gonna squish it, girl.
Aw, man.
I hope she
Okay,
doesn't
now
put it-
Ollie also gotta look.
Tontong, tontong.
Tong. Oh, Smoddy's blocking. Oh, you found her.
What the heck?
Dang,
I
that's
was, I was still in the
scary.
painting. I'm so sorry.
Oh, okay.
Rasanya ada orang deh di sini.
Huh.
Ton, ton, ton.
Lagi.
I think you're close to her. I swear to God.
Apa?
Do you want me to taunt?
Where is she?
Am I stuck?
I'm literally.
Mana? I cannot see.
I feel like I'm blind.
Me too.
It's really hard being the hunter.
Yeah.
Why is there 2 countdowns? What's 30 seconds versus 117?
Seconds is the count, the taunt countdown.
Taunt count, yeah.
That we
Oh.
get a hint.
I wish I
Oh
knew.
my god.
Ray, you can't hide forever, Ray.
Yeah, we'll find you eventually.
Okay, I will not move at all. I accidentally moved a bit from my spot, but I'm still in my spot. I tilted. No.
Fuck.
Oh
Wow.
god. Wait.
Itu siapa sih? Hey!
Ray is literally at
Hey, come
900
here.
points. I swear to God, you need to find her.
Oh my god.
Where is she?
What? What? What the heck is she doing? I just want to know.
Oh, another one should be here, yeah. I hear you.
Wait.
Oh, there you are! Oh, that's clever!
Oh, that's good.
Oh.
Oh.
Hey!
Wait, you can shrink yourself?
Huh?
Can you?
How?
Where's Kanna? Go
Nah,
on,
we just have
Todd.
to look for Kanna.
Shut up. Just go away. Just go away.
Oh.
I don't hear a taunt.
Wait, there
Where's
is
your
a ton?
Oh, it's. I think
The next
it's
taunt is-
by- it's
that means-
over here, I feel.
Over here?
I found you! Hi, Kanna.
Can you just pretend you didn't see me?
Mana? Oh
Why
my
are you
god.
so fucking big? Why are you so fucking
Damn.
big?
Who wants it?
I wonder
Wants
where
it?
she is.
Wants it?
Happy birthday, Rachie!
Wants it?
No!
What the fuck is an Aeon?
Ijan.
Ijang,
Ah.
Ijan ka.
You're hiding it.
Look at how many points.
Oh my god. Look at how much Kanna got.
Wait, I don't know if you saw,
Wow.
but someone was actually like, they walked on top of me. And I'm like,
What? Where the hell were you?
It's probably me.
I was on Discord.
Oh.
Oh.
Now do you get
Oh.
the flame?
Yeah, we get it. Okay.
How do you shrink or make yourself huge? What?
You can't.
More time for drawing, please.
Is it 2024? Wait, is it answer check time or is it hunter wait time? Hunter wait time, yeah.
Yes.
240. 240?
So
How many is
close.
240? 240 is 8 minutes? No. 5 minutes?
60 times 8.
No, that's 4. That's 4 minutes. 4 minutes is okay, right?
Yeah.
Should
I mean, I usually
be.
do it in 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
120.
120 should be okay? Okay.
Okay. I forgot that I could run away. And I'm like, wait, I forgot I could shift it.
What do you mean you forgot you could run away?
We can run away? Like from the
we can run
shot?
away.
Holy El Sarutobi.
Oh my god, Toby!
Let's go! Happy almost birthday, huge!
Yippee!
Yeah. I gotta have a big celebration just for Toby then.
Whoopee.
L Sarutobi, more like W Sarutobi. Am I right, guys?
Oh,
Yeah.
this map. Who's the hunter?
Me.
Who's the-
Oh shit!
Oh shit.
No. My eyes is really bad, so you don't have to worry about it.
Masa nanti ketemu langsung.
Muna, do you
Wait
want it
a
to be
minute.
hard?
Wait.
What do you mean hard?
Oh.
I can do
Wait
something insane in this map.
This
And
this
you'll
girl already
never
has all the
find
fucking
me.
tips and tricks.
Oh, you'll never find me. I'm so hidden.
Okay. Wait. No, wait. Maybe not here. What?
Can I color myself? I don't think so. No. Eh?
You
I
can.
can. I can.
Okay. Over here.
Let's see.
I wish I could see where everyone else is hiding. Is it still
Me
infected?
too.
Yeah, sadly you can't if it's infection.
can't. Oh. I
It's
Oh,
like
okay.
if you die, right, you're gonna be a hunter too. So
Right, so you
do it.
can't. Yeah. Okay, we'll do the other one after this then.
Banger.
I need the color. I need the correct color. Wow.
Painting is so hard.
Painting is hard. Shapes and colors. Shapes and colors. Let's see. Chat, do you think this is good enough, chat?
Oh,
Shit.
I'm not even finished.
Go on, Luna. Time's a taken.
Come on, Moon.
Oh, how do I paint?
Lower the roughness to smooth it out,
I'm
huh?
bad at it.
Hello?
Oh, lower the roughness. Oh.
You can lower the roughness. I see.
What the fuck was that, Ollie?
Wait, I need to get out of
I have tears in my eyes.
Oh my god.
I feel like since Michi played this so much, I think she's on the walls or ceiling.
She probably is. She probably stuck herself to a wall.
I see you.
Oh my god.
You want me to taunt? I can taunt a
Holy
lot.
shit.
Yeah.
Hold
Tanti.
on. How do I taunt?
Oh, you're so far.
Oh.
This map's so huge lah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this map
it
is
is
big. Oh my god.
Oh,
Oh.
I don't know. Where are you?
Oh. Oh, Ollie.
Oh wait, switch to free camera. Oh, I hear.
You look so tiny up there.
Ooh.
Oh, Ollie.
Ah.
Ah, oh. Oh, Ollie.
Oh my god.
Oh, Muna.
You know, this
Did
is
you
not
see
like
it?
a game. She's just
In the
taunting
corner
in
of the
chat.
room. Ooh, so many sounds right now.
I need to see this
Ooh.
later. I need to see this later.
Wait, you can see it.
I
If
wanna
you click
see it.
5, yeah, if you click
Uh-huh.
5, you can left click, right click, and you can see the killer's POV.
Oh, okay.
If you
I'm
what?
gonna look at Muna's POV then. I'm
Click
just gonna.
number 5, Kanna.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
And then left click, right click with your mouse, or you can click 4 and then it's free toggle. Like if you click 5 and then 4, you can
Ah, I
use Wasadus
see.
to do free cam.
Oh.
Oh,
What?
Ollie!
Oh, where is she?
Oh, your time is running out. Oh no!
Oh.
You still have like 3 other people to
I
find.
told
Yeah.
you, my eyes is really
Ooh.
bad.
Dang.
Your back looks so nice, Ollie.
Let's see if I can
Dang.
spy Michi from Ollie's POV.
Yeah, me too. I'm staring
Me
at
too.
Ollie's POV.
Oh, Ollie, your
where
back
the
looks real
fuck?
nice.
I swear she has to be here.
Whoa.
Muna. Oh, looking up a lot, eh?
It's
Ollie?
hard actually. From like
Oh, why are you trying to look up so much?
Oh my
Look at me,
god.
babe.
Oh, shooting a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left. Oh, does.
honestly though, I'm watching the POV and I'm like, I wouldn't find anyone.
Me too. This is crazy.
Like,
You know, there's
seriously.
also other people.
Coba deh,
No,
can
no
you guys keep
press.
taunting? Because we are noobs at this.
Sure.
Oh wait, right.
Oh,
I'll keep
I
pressing
think you're
it.
inside the car.
You sure?
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Oh.
shit!
Whoa.
Oh, man.
That's actually so cool.
That's so troll. That is so troll.
Ah.
I know it's so
I also
troll.
don't like that Michi's gonna be a hunter
Ratchy,
now.
Kanna, Ray. Go on, keep taunting.
I'm so scared. I'm not even.
I hear you. I can smell you.
I'm a little bit scared. I'm not gonna lie.
Holy crap!
Girl,
How?
you were in 3D if you toggle
I
onto the floor.
know. That was stupid. I did it.
Kanna, Ray.
Oh, Kanna, she's usually in the crevice, no? She really likes to stay hidden? No? Can count? How to count?
I'm so good.
Where are you?
I think I'm taunting.
Who's taunting? Motherfucker. Sorry.
I
Are
don't
there
even
any
hear
taunts at all? I cannot hear.
Ada.
Si Ada ada di sini. Oh,
Oh my god.
mana? Mana?
Hi. I'm here.
Oh shit!
Hello.
She's like in the crevice.
Hello.
Like a
people.
fucking. She's in the crevice.
Dah, di kesini! No way!
No way.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
We
There's
didn't
so
find
many
Kanna.
trophies. Yeah. Fuck.
What the hell?
I was
Well
literally right
played.
there. I was right there.
You had so much points.
Dang. Look at that. That's crazy.
Kanna hit
All right.
2 times in a row so well.
She did.
No, that was
She's
plain
good at
luck.
this. I'm scared.
No, it's lucky. No, if you saw where I was hiding, you would totally beat yourself up for not checking.
Oh no. I need to
It
see
looked
the
like you were on the
VODs now.
ceiling somewhere.
You know where we spawned?
Where?
Yeah, the place where Muna's
Yeah.
first spot. Yeah, I was right
Yeah.
there.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I basically didn't go anywhere. That's all I did.
Okay, let's do this. Let's start. We're doing basic this time, not infection. Or do we want to keep going infection?
We can do anything. It's up to you, girl.
What the hell is going on in my fucking whatever start? Oh my god. What the
Yeah, I'm whistling at you,
what
baby
the-
girl. Damn. You know you can just click F, right? Look at that. Oh, banger! Oh, banger!
Don't look.
Damn.
Sakit, semua sakit.
Oh.
Oh,
I'm a hunter.
Oh, I still get to
Oh,
hide.
shit.
Yippee. Okay, where do I go hide this
All right,
time?
we can run.
where do I hide? This game is so fucking troll.
Funniest part is this is not infection, so Ollie will be all alone throughout the game.
Oh no!
Hmm.
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 Can I
What's a
just-
good place?
What's a
Oh, what map
pose?
is it?
You'll see.
Aww.
Is there any
There
good
ain't no
places
way,
here?
right?
The worst one is the Candyland.
god, where do I
Do
go?
I want to be cheese or do I want to be creative?
You should just cheese. Honestly, you're so fun.
Should I try this time?
What do you mean? Should I try this time?
You're the only one that hasn't died.
Oh yeah, look at me. I'm Kanna Tamachi. I don't
No,
try
you don't
all
understand.
whatsoever.
Oh,
I
wait.
thought I was gonna get
Okay.
found, to be fair.
What the fuck?
Okay, keep humble bragging, I guess.
Wow.
Wait, how do you
Okay.
change the size of yourself?
Hold right click
Uh-huh.
and then drag your mouse left and right and it'll change.
Why is my
hold
knees
right click,
like
right
blinking
What?
in red?
Okay.
Yes. Your mouse right click
Ay,
and then move your
Kamay
mouse
dito.
left and right.
Okay.
It's not working. You know what? It's okay. I'll figure it out somewhere. I'm gonna run
Oh, okay,
somewhere.
okay.
Is that it?
Oh wait, maybe.
Kayak
fuck.
jadi ganti
Whatever.
slider gitu.
We are so fucking cooked.
I'm so cooked. I'm so cooked. Oh.
I give up.
Okay.
Okay.
I give up.
Hi. No, don't run. Don't run.
Should have tried from this
Is there anything
angle,
you'd
huh?
like to say to chat? Yo, this girl be moving. Who is this? Oh, sorry, girly. Aw, man, I hate this map. Anjing. Sorry.
Kasar. Eh?
You're fine. You're fine.
Ini di mana lagi?
Aha.
Ah, Bobby!
Great.
I can't.
Aduh.
Wait, now I get to spectate for once. What the fuck, Michi?
Yeah. So fucking troll.
Oh my, what the?
Epic.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Wait.
Wait, where is this girl? Gila, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Oh, so that's where you died, girly.
Oh my god.
Someone has to be around here. They have to be. Did I? Kanna, I kelewat you. You di mana?
Kanna is amazing.
This is so fun.
Genuinely thought.
Of course, I'm all alone in the hardest map ever. I hate everyone.
It's okay, girly. At least, you know what? This map makes me hungry. I'm sort of hungry.
For a birthday cake?
No.
Cake. Are you gonna get cake at least on your birthday day?
No.
What do
I
you
don't think
mean,
so.
no?
You know where I'm going? I'm
What?
going to Hotpot after work with
Oh
my
my
family.
God.
That sounds fun,
Oh.
right?
How to move
Oh.
the Moon Hunter camera? I don't know.
Hunter,
I don't think
press
you can. You?
Huh?
Is it 5? Switch to free camera 5.
It might be.
And then right click.
Kanna's POV right now. Amazing.
Oh, I'm looking at Ollie's.
Kanna,
I
what the
don't
fuck
even
is
know.
that? Kanna,
Oh my
actually.
god, Kanna is so troll. It's crazy.
Oh.
Kanna's so troll. Munas is a good spot. Kanna is just trolling.
I'm just so dumb at this, I swear.
Just fucking trolling at this.
She's actually trolling. She's actually trolling.
I swear.
No way! For real?
I'll be real,
Actually,
Ollie. She's not even fully
out.
I swear.
All these girls are just out, girl.
I actually moved just for this. I'm crying. I'm crying, dude.
where'd you go, man? I know
Yeah,
that
I
you're around
moved.
here somewhere.
I just want to see.
Okay.
Oh my god, Michi.
Oh, banger.
You're also trolling. You're actually.
Kanna,
so
you
bad.
gotta taunt. You gotta give her a chance, girl.
Yeah, you gotta give her a chance.
See
Kanna,
You're in the
kasiyan.
hiding spot.
Kasiyan. Ayo.
Oh, wait. But it went up. Wait.
Oh my god.
Let me be sweaty. Let me be sweaty for a second.
girl.
Wow.
I'm crying. There's no fucking way. Kanna, you gotta give her a chance. You're trying really hard, girl.
Yeah.
I'm taunting.
So
I'm
good.
non-stop taunting, I swear to God.
Oh,
Okay.
Kanna is non-stop taunting. You got this, Ollie. Surely. Kanna is hidden very well. So I don't blame
Yeah,
you.
you found Luna
Yeah.
before you found me.
He's also hidden really, really well.
Sorry, I'm
both
cheese stratting right now.
They're both trolling.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Oh my god.
Ollie,
Wait.
we'll both taunt. We'll both taunt just to...
We're both taunting you. We're literally.
Kanna, keep taunting, Kanna.
I think you
Okay.
just gotta keep taunting at this point.
I swear to God, you're gonna beat yourself up if you don't find us.
Michi is so troll. Oh my god, Michi is so troll.
Oh my god. Oh my god, no way.
I swear.
I'm crying.
Wait, you need to
I'm a green screen.
Where's Kanna?
Look up.
Look up.
Look up.
look up.
Literally, hello.
Literally look up. Wait, look up.
Go to the cake. Go to the cake.
Girl,
go to the
there's no way.
The zebra cake. The zebra cake. Go up.
She is genuinely so troll. That was so troll. Oh my god.
Actually, so troll.
Oh, I have tears in
You
my
did
eyes.
so good.
Oh my god.
You did it. It's okay. You did it.
For a moment, I saw you laying next to me, and I felt less lonely.
You guys are insane. My god.
Shut up and start the game. It's
Yeah.
time for
Time for Ollie to finally troll people next, hopefully.
I'm gonna be so sweaty this time.
She was a
So bad
fuck-ass
at this
car in the
game.
last game.
And a mouse!
Oh.
Again?
What?
Ollie.
You'll never.
Oh.
It's okay, girl. You got this.
Thanks. Oh.
Where should I go today?
So how's it looking?
Not good, Chief.
I'm watching BG.
Hold on.
Is Michi already done?
No. I'm doing my final touches right now.
Oh, how am I?
40 seconds, guys.
You like that, Kanna? You like it? Ain't it just really good?
She's never gonna find you.
Oh man, I don't like to hear that.
I found the phenomenal cheese strat.
I'm gonna try my best
That's
and
so
not
good,
cheese.
though. How did you do the details? Oh, wow.
Okay. All right. It's time to
I
paint.
decided to pull a Picasso today.
Are you saying that you haven't been painting right?
I only found my spot.
10 seconds.
I'm
Chat,
gonna watch
do you think
Ollie.
this is okay?
Chat, Chat, how do you feel, Chat, about me?
Right?
Sure.
Surely
Chat,
not.
If you
No, I
tell us we're
believe
not
in you.
talented, chat, we're gonna curse you in our sleep.
Okay.
Literally, you're
Alright,
gonna.
chat.
You're fine.
It's time to
You
pull
will-
on the final touches.
I believe in you.
Ah, man.
Girl, you might actually be cooked this round.
Yeah, this place big, man. Kanna was here. Kanna was here. I'm gonna find her, even if it's the last thing I'll do. Kanna Tamachi.
I believe in you. I believe in you.
Kanna.
I really believe in you.
God.
You cannot be serious,
Wow.
girl. You cannot be serious, Kanna Tamachi.
I'm literally. Find me. I swear to God. Find me.
Ollie is having like toilet paper roll glasses right now.
Man.
If it's too hard, you can find other people first. That's okay too.
You're just trying to scare me away.
Ollie,
Oh, I hate myself.
there is
I
no
hate
way.
Lee, I don't think you'll be able to find any of us. I'm so sorry.
Oh man. Okay, keep taunting. Keep taunting.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. I need to.
I'm in tears.
Eh?
This
Okay.
is so funny.
I need to switch the free camera. I can't see shit.
Oh my god.
Dude, you have to
We
see
need to
Kanna's
keep
fucking hiding spot.
taunting. We need to
You
keep
literally-
taunting.
Okay, I'll
I
keep
feel like
talking.
if it's taunting over and over, I feel like it's gonna overwhelm the shit out of her though.
No,
Maybe.
don't worry. I need it.
Okay, I'll keep taunting.
Okay,
I wanna
it's
see
fine,
everyone
girl.
else.
She will cry, she says on her shirt. Oh no! Girl, why is your
my
face the
God.
wrong way?
This can't be real.
Where's-
I'm an artist. I need you to see Kanna, bro.
There's no way.
Oh my God. No, I fully expect to be found. No, don't worry about it.
Really, girl?
Yeah, you're breaking
Don't
me.
say that.
You're
Don't
breaking
say
me.
that.
You're
Don't
just
say that.
making it look like I'm really bad at
Don't
this
say
game.
that.
Shut up.
No, you're good. You're good.
No, I
Kanna, you should taunt. Kanna taunt. She needs a chance.
I taunted. I literally.
There's no way.
You know she's good at this game.
Isn't she good?
I'll let you be. I'll look for someone else. I'm
There is no way.
Hold on, gotta
someone
touch
has
her.
to be.
Michi's is so fucking troll. I cannot believe this.
So troll.
Oh man, I'm gonna go bald.
Oh, Ollie.
Never fun being the
What are
hot
you doing
hunter.
over there?
Yeah, Ollie.
Oh, don't look right
Oh.
at me, Ollie. You're gonna scare me.
Oh,
You're
I
so
passed
close.
you.
Oh,
Oh. Oh, you have.
Oh.
oh, you missed. Hello.
No, I'm just frustrated that you're a cactus.
You don't like it?
Amazing.
Oh, fuck. Wait, let me kill Kanna now. I'm satisfied.
Oh my god, I just found a phenomenal bug. If you
You are
click
so
R before you
fucking
die,
funny.
your R tab is stuck.
Wait, where's Kanna Tamachi?
Oh my god.
Man. I'm gonna go insane.
Oh, free camera.
That
is
was
so
great while
nice.
it lasted.
Let's go.
Not
It's
worth
okay,
it.
pretty lady. You are so gorgeous. You will find us.
Usually I have keen eyes for pretty ladies, but I can't find any of you.
You should taunt. She's never gonna find you.
I'm taunting. I'm taunting.
I'm taunting. I'm constantly taunting
I'm
it at this point.
taunting.
She's given up.
No.
Follow one. Follow one.
Okay.
Oh, girl, you are so. I can hear you. You are so beautiful. Wow. Amazing. The view
I will
looks.
choke myself.
Wow,
I can't
you're
find you.
You are so gorgeous. Cantik.
Where?
Yippee!
Astaghfirullahaladzim. Astaghfirullah.
Have you tried to find
Thank
her?
you.
Can you actually
Wait.
check everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, let me try. Where's? Oh, siapa itu? Oh,
really good.
That's not good. Yeah.
Daddy.
Nobody would ever find her.
I need to look for Rachie. I need to like watch the VOD after this. I want to
Yeah.
be hid.
Everyone's is so good.
Yeah,
wait,
I was
the
looking at
Rachie,
everyone. I'm like,
today.
whoa. Oh,
You know.
you're gonna hate me for it.
Man.
Oh my god, another 200 from Mr. El
Let's
Sarutobi.
go.
Let's go! We're fucking back, baby!
I want you to know,
Let's
Ali,
go.
everyone else painted. Me and Kanna, we were literally... Kanna was just default, bro. Like, I didn't try to paint.
Do anything.
I was looking at you. Plain? He didn't do shit! I was like,
One sec,
I put a lot of effort
I got a
there.
work message. 1 second, I got a work message.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
Very good.
I hate that. I have a feeling that Ollie's gonna be the hunter again.
No, that won't happen. I doubt.
I have a feeling. Anyone want to bet taking in $1? $1 bet. Anyone
Yawan.
betting on if Ollie is going to be the next hunter again?
I swear,
Surely
if I become
not.
the hunter for the 3rd time, I dapat piring cantik. Man.
Piring cantik dari siapa? Dari Kanna Tamachi.
There we go.
Master Hider. I said,
Okay.
guys, literally the best hiding spots, right? Either you are a ball away from the actual item or white. Bang a
Yeah.
Kanna Tamachi strat.
Banger strat.
Taking
Banger fucking
Taking
strat.
notes.
For real. Okay, do we want to do infection or basic?
Up
Infection,
to
please.
you.
Infection ya? Infection ya kasihan si Ollie tadi.
Infection
Yeah,
aja,
yeah, yeah.
infection aja. We have a few people, so yeah.
I have a feeling Ollie's gonna be a hunter again.
I really hope not.
She says this, she's walking on the hunter button.
No, I'm not. I'm not gonna be a hunter. Watch this.
Oh, I'm the hunter.
Ah.
Here
Wait,
again.
hold on. So crouch is this. Oh, stand up and climb.
I wonder
Oh
if we can-
shit. Okay, okay. I think I understand the game better now.
Well, I guess I'm hunting. Surely I can find people, right?
Low-key, I'm gonna do
Oh.
exactly... I'm gonna take inspiration from a friend for this map. Because I think it'd be funny. Hold on. Okay, Ray, since you're an artist, right? I'm gonna do
Yeah?
my best to impress you.
Oh shit.
Hold on.
I look
gotta send in
forward.
my art resume.
Oh shit. Honestly, I'm not too confident because I'm also blind with my glasses. So I'm like, if I don't go up close, I might not see people. Juga.
Hmm.
Alright.
No, dude, chat. I'll lock in and actually stop the music. Oh my god.
I give up.
We have Really? But
Yeah.
let me guess, your give up place is still pretty good though.
I bet she's going to hide in the whites again. Or in the walls.
You know, it would be pretty crazy if you became like a player that you abide to only hiding in white areas and you still be like super good and they can't find you. That would be crazy if you only hide in one specific color.
Right. It's okay.
Hard to find a color. Warnanya tuh nggak mau ini ya.
Oh, I get to find people soon. Okay. Now I go. Search start. Oh, we're at the cow place again.
Yup.
Oh.
Oh, di sini nggak bisa ini ya? Apa sih blush? Apa sih namanya?
Blush?
Ngeblur.
Nggak bisa kayak.
Ya, baiklah.
Oh. I hear someone, but I can't see. That's a lot of that's a lot of whistles.
Ray, you look so beautiful from here, girl.
Damn.
Me too. You're the first one I found. Wait. Oh. Any extra taunts?
Can we get a free taunt, guys?
Can we have a
Gave
free
one
taunt?
already.
Okay, thank you.
Masih ada di sini.
Yeah, it's
My eyes are so bad with this. Beautiful ladies, I hearken to you.
Now you know how I feel, babe.
I hearken to you, my beautiful ladies. I've never seen this area. I've never seen this area before.
any whistles? Any taunts?
Ooh.
Oh,
Loh.
okay.
Rasanya ada di sini deh. There was one here.
I feel a Kanna Tamachi around.
I think Muna's usually really good at this.
Yeah, Muna usually gets into like a crevice and then she's just like, bam.
Holly.
No.
Mana ya?
Mana ya?
No way. I was this close, guys.
Oh, where ya?
Where?
What?
Indeed.
Where indeed is everybody?
Kanna Tamachi got 400 though. What's that about?
Yeah, is that because I'm around here? Is she strictly white again?
Is that?
Apa?
No way.
That's so troll. That's insanely troll.
That's not it, right? This is not. That's
Oh my
not-
god, guys! Live cam, guys, live cam.
What's... Wait, what's happening?
Aw, man.
That was so funny.
Beautiful ladies, can I get a taunt?
Can I get a taunt?
Aha! I found her. She's right here.
Mana mau lihat?
Mana?
Mana?
Oh.
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 Mona.
Iya.
I get to find people.
Iya.
Enggak
Taunt lagi, Muna. Taunt lagi.
Wait, ada di sini. Rasanya ada di sini deh. I think she's like somewhere here.
Can I shoot
Not
just
bad.
indiscriminately?
Oh. She has to be here somewhere. She's so
Serius kalian?
serius
Muna.
ini lagi nyari.
Muna.
Oh my
Holy shit! Where was she?
Where?
Bard.
Oh my! Wait, I looked through. Oh my god!
Oh my god. That's crazy. That's a good one.
Oh my god, that's
Nice.
good. That's actually so
Oh,
good.
Holly di atas itu. Oh, that's crazy.
Oh my
Aku
god.
tadinya pengen di tenda, but I figured it was too easy, so I went up.
Yeah, that one is a good one. That's a good spot. How did you even see that,
Wow.
right?
I was trying to listen from the sound, and I'm like, there's gotta be someone in the balloons, but I can't see it. I'm just like, that's not a balloon.
I taunted a little too much.
I see. Damn, kind of still takes the rankings. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Look at that.
Kanna and Muna, the
I know, Kanna and Muna are so good. Michi's a troll. Michi's just a fucking troll.
Living my best life.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
the hunter this time, Michi.
Me too.
Yeah. Surely Michi's the
Can't we
hunter
just
this
push her
time,
on the
right?
thing?
Please, I'm so blind.
Thank goodness.
Surely, right?
Oh.
Oh.
Again?
No. Oh, why me?
Ugh.
Why
Apa
me?
ya?
I'm
Apa ya? Kali.
Ya guys. Udahlah minus plus. Udah kelar nih.
Inilah kali.
Wait.
There's no way, right?
How do I? No, I haven't figured it out.
There's no
Kelihatan
way,
nggak
right?
ya kalau kayak gini?
What if I just?
Agak kelihatan deh.
Wait, can I?
Aku.
Oh, okay, cannot.
I want to try something.
I have 55 seconds to do this.
It's
I
not
have no
here.
idea what I'm doing.
Oh no,
Well.
hold on.
Say that, but then you're going to slay.
Then wear sunglasses I can't see. That's the point because I can't see right now.
You know what? I give up.
It's a bunny with no ears. I cannot make a bunny in me.
It's okay. I'll be the. I'll help hunt this round, chat.
Alah, nanti gak ketemu juga.
I swear to God, if you miss me.
I don't think this is the spot.
It doesn't matter at this point. Whatever. Whatever. Okay,
Muna.
chat, I got this.
What's on your butt, Muna? I told you.
Cepet banget.
I told you. Wait. Loki, I wanna hunt.
Wait, free movement.
I
Oh,
can't
there
get
it
this
is.
the right like color for some reason.
Oh my
Okay.
god,
Count
Toby, you
again,
crazy.
Let's go.
Let's go, Toby.
You're so stupid.
Whoa!
You're so absolutely stupid.
I was like, where the fuck do I
what do you
go?
mean,
I have
Rena?
no ideas. No, I literally went there last minute. I'm like, I'll just be here. And I'm like, wait, the color's so bad. I'm like, no.
Can someone count again?
Streamer through the match. I wanted to hunt.
Oh my god, 3 people. Oh!
Oh!
No, I was drawing.
Found ya.
Mana
Who's
ya?
left?
There's Ollie.
Yeah, finally.
Oh.
I think it's Ollie.
Where are you? Count again, Ollie.
Huh.
It's Ollie.
I wonder where she is. Ollie! Dude, all I see are really nice boxes.
Wait,
Oh.
taunt?
All the boxes are just
Wow,
so
I can't
good.
find her. Where is
Yeah.
she?
Yeah, I guess I just have to keep
It's
looking.
just so hard. Wow, I don't. Where is she?
Damn it, dude, this is
Where? Oh my
difficult.
god, where
What
is she?
the
Oh
heck?
my
Where
god,
is
cannot
she? I
see it.
can't find her.
Dude, can you taunt
Oh my
again,
God.
girl? Dude, she's somewhere here.
Oh my god, it's probably somewhere here.
Girl,
I
where are
wonder
you?
where
Can
it
you talk?
is. Oh my
I
god.
just
Yes, like
No,
Oh,
actually,
wait.
yeah, you're right.
it's
You're
like,
so right. No,
I
you're
don't. I just
right.
don't know. Like, where is she?
Where is
Whoa.
it? I couldn't find it.
Di mana ya? Wow.
what the hell?
Wow.
Wow.
Di mana ya?
It's going to 8,000, man.
Wow, dianya di mana ya?
She's farming for points right now.
Oh shit! Okay,
Oh,
it's free
she's
for all.
running. She's run. Oh,
I'm gonna be real. When you guys start doing it, I'm like, I still can't see her. Where is she?
she's so good.
Oh my god.
What is this? That was a good one. That was a good
That's
one.
so
That
funny.
was a good one.
Yui!
Yippee! Look at her. Holy shit, 10k points.
That's crazy.
Huge. Kureiji Oli taking the board with 10,000
Dang!
points.
Look at that.
How many maps are there? There was the sewer, the
Me.
farm, and the cake.
There's the
one,
back
right?
rooms. Do we want to try the back rooms?
What the heck is a back room?
Sure.
Okay, back rooms time.
I wonder who's hunting this time.
The
Oh, I'm
birthday
scared.
Sialan emang chat.
How do you
God.
hide in the backgrounds? I have no idea.
Oh, shit.
Ooh.
I ran too
I
close
saw-
to the thing.
Oh, you're hunting?
She's hunting.
man.
Okay, wait. I want to see the lay of the land. I want to get a lay of the land first.
What's the map?
Wait, can I? Oh, what?
Wait, let me put on my glasses actually.
Put on my glasses, actually.
She's locked in.
That
Oh,
might
they're
be-
blurry. Well, they're worse than not wearing glasses. Give me a second.
Ya, kemana ya?
Cleaning.
No, I don't think so. This is such a cool map. I've never seen this
Right?
before.
What's the map? I'm gonna die, aren't I? I'm not gonna find anyone.
I'll make it easy for you, girl. Don't even worry. Unless I'm absolutely bullshitting right now.
Maybe she is.
She's gonna be right in front of my face and I won't know.
Sekarang gemes nggak ada tombol undo.
Iya. Enak ya?
Kalau ada blurring tool sih lebih OP juga sih.
Lebih OP, OP.
Okay, it's time to paint. Oh my god,
You
this-
haven't painted?
No, listen, I'm not the best at
I mean,
painting.
you have 10 seconds, girl.
If
If I see you where I saw you last time.
No, wait, what do you mean last time? No, it's, I swear, I swear.
What the heck? Am I in Rachel's office?
Yes! How'd you know?
What the heck?
Oh shit.
Why
the
are
wrong
there
color.
toilets on the wall? Oh.
Okay.
There's no
Tom?
missed spot.
When I finish.
There's no missed spot.
That was cool.
Wow.
You don't even know.
Mengerikan sekali.
No, that was so good.
I need to double check my
Oh.
location.
I'm still laughing.
Wait,
Oh,
hold on. Oh, okay. That's a little cringe. I gotta fix that.
I decided to full sweat strat today.
Really?
What?
Yep, I'm full sweating.
I think I have.
You'll
I
never find me
feel-
ever.
wow.
Unironically, you will never see me. Oh,
What the
Kanna.
heck? Where
If
the
you're
heck
another
are you
cactus, I
guys?
swear.
Oh, Kanna.
Oh my god.
Did I miss you?
Whoa.
Oh, it's so scary to be on the
Wait,
next
I'm still
cubicle over.
painting, please!
Sorry,
Uh-oh.
I can't give you this privacy, ma'am.
No! I'm so
Dang, everyone's sweating this round.
Where the heck? Where's Michi?
painting.
Oh,
I just saw
Michi.
you
Oh,
pass by me, Ray.
Huh? You did?
Unless I'm lying.
Unless she's
Ollie,
lying.
Kanna, what are you doing?
So good.
Oh man.
How did you draw that? What the?
I am
Oh, that was so. That was so good.
Where's Ratchie?
It took
Can't-
a while.
It's Ratchie.
I can't
I
believe Luna did that without an
wonder-
undo button. What the heck?
Wow, Kanna. It's so scary being so close to you.
Oh.
Terrifying. I don't want to
Ollie.
think about it. Oh, Ray. Hi. I can see you from all the way up here.
You like that?
What?
You like that, girl? I thought of
What?
you.
Beautiful.
when you drew
What?
Lovely,
Wow.
lovely, Ray. It's so nice to see you.
I could even
So beautiful
Hold on,
to
how
see
do
you. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
wait. I'm
Wow,
still on
you-
free roam.
You
Hold on.
really were
Wow.
sweating this round. Oh my god.
Yeah, everyone's sweating this
What the
round.
heck?
Right?
What the
Hi,
heck?
Moon.
I'll let
Figured
someone
out
else
the
find you.
size.
Nice, nice, always nice. Hate to see you leave. Love to watch you go.
What the
Huh.
heck? What the heck?
Richie,
What?
where?
Richie, where?
Richie Doko?
Richie Doko.
Watashi no
Ri-
kokoro?
Richie taunted.
Oh,
Hey,
Wait,
I'm
she's haunted?
Richie taunted.
Hmm.
You better now, Ray.
what?
What?
You're too
I'm
good
saying,
for
hey,
us.
Kanna.
Oh, so close. Are you close?
Ooh.
Are you in a drawer?
I'm somewhere.
Oh, I found you.
Oh my god!
What?
Where is she?
Oh wow! What?
Oh my
Oh my
god!
god!
Now,
Oh my god! What?
now you guys look for Meaty. I found her already.
I'm very
What?
hidden, guys. No pressure.
Like, she's pretty
Ooh.
sweaty this round, not gonna lie.
Not gonna.
Really?
Guys,
Mhm.
you gotta
Oh.
check every nook and crevice. There they say.
She's so stinky.
You have 18 seconds left.
I'm
Is
gonna
she in the
be real.
toilet?
I keep failing trying to like resize myself, and I'm just like, you know what? I have to stay
Are
with
they
my
Wait, we
original
can resize
Oh,
ourselves?
you can resize our person?
No? Bisa
Oh.
niya
Okay,
pause
bisa.
aja kan?
Guys,
Okay,
I'm
bisa
literally
size.
taunting.
You are.
Literally,
I can't
where
see
are
it.
you?
Check it out.
Mana?
Where?
Over
You'll
here.
I'm
never
going to be
believe it.
honest. Even if
Oh.
you guys counting like
You like that word? You like the words?
Oh, that's crazy, girl.
Crazy. Aw.
Aww, that's so
What?
cute.
I was literally right here.
Aw.
Holy crap! I'm so dumb.
That's
Holy
huge.
shit!
That's a good one.
That's a
Wow.
That's a good
Wow.
one.
That's really cool.
Wow.
Banger.
Dang.
Wow.
That's really nice.
Damn.
Resize,
You're
but,
so
like,
good at this game. What the fuck?
I was
I
literally
literally
staring
wrote
right at her at some
6-7
point.
in big bold text, and Kanna just walked past me, and I was like, oh.
Okay, I guess
knew
she's not reading. I guess she's not reading today.
I
How are
need
your
new
glasses,
glasses.
girly?
I need.
You do?
glasses.
Okay, should we do another random one? The last one that we haven't done is Penguin Hotel. It looks sort of crazy.
Let's go with the
Oh.
Ooh,
penguin.
Penguin Hotel's huge.
Oh, okay.
that
I think
one.
infection will help. We're not doing basic. We're doing infection. Everyone will we'll be able to help eventually. Damn. Oh, I'm ascending. Oh, I'm ascending.
Oh
No way.
Finding
Oh
people.
wow.
Oh shit,
Why
this
not
is huge.
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh damn. Motherfucker.
Aya. Kela.
This is too obvious, no? Maybe?
Oh well.
This is the third time
Oh.
that I am becoming the hunter.
I try hard at this or what?
Why is
yeah.
Richie not the hunter though?
Reggie had her first try, and then the game decided I was not entertaining enough.
Wait, is it? No, it's better if I use the other pose.
Is everyone tryharding this round, by the way?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Well, you know she says that.
You
but-
say that, but like, you are favored by God, so I don't want to hear it from you.
Man.
God loves you. Like, I don't want to hear this.
Man.
I got the boo.
Okay, it's time to paint.
You gone?
God, so slow at finding spots.
Go.
Okay, this one. Beautiful colors. Chat, do you think I'm
Kenapa nggak
doing...
bisa undo ya?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh, I wish I could
I've
undo.
done that.
It would really help. Now chat knows that when I draw, I'm like actually really slow.
Takut.
Okay, detail. Wait.
Wah,
Okay, it's okay.
banger ini, banger position.
Detail time. This one, and then resize the brush.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Muna, what the fuck is on you, girl?
Girl, what the hell? She
Why do you
abstracted.
look like that? Why is she abstracting?
Oh my
Fucking abstracted. Oh
She's
my god.
abstracting.
Should have changed poses, shouldn't I?
That's a lot of eyes.
Oh
Wow,
my
she's gonna
god.
find us.
No, this is too
Place
much.
is so this place is huge. This is
How
like
is the
ADHD
Ray's
hell.
number like
Yeah.
increasing? The hell?
Really awesome.
Yeah.
that I can
Oh my
find you
god.
girls.
She's close, Moon. You gotta get her.
Oh, wait, hold on. I just finished painting. I'll talk.
I can hear it, but I don't know where it is.
Beautiful girl with a gun. I blow you a kiss. I'm looking with Muna too. I'm like, I want to know, where is everyone? Gak kelihatan loh dari sini.
Gak kelihatan, sumpil.
Kelihatan. Sumpil ini susah banget. There's like so many things to focus on.
Ini susah banget sih.
Sorry, Moon, but you are a beautiful, beautiful lady who will find because you have gorgeous, gorgeous eyes.
Yeah, I'm so
Wait, I
shy.
wanna
It looks like she's constantly looking. Yeah.
One at a time, guys. One at a time. One at a
Oh,
time.
true, okay, one at a time.
Okay,
one at a
okay,
time.
okay.
Who's she closest to? What?
Everyone.
Oh.
Wait.
Toby, thank you so much for the 10 gift subs. You are so sweet.
Okay, Mona, call everyone. You can like ask like, okay, make a sound, and then we'll do it one by one.
Oh, okay. Maybe Oli?
Okay, Ollie first. Ollie first.
Okay.
Oh my god, Michi's keeps increasing, girl. That means Michi ada di sini dong.
Ray juga,
She's
Ray yang paling tinggi.
They're both right
Oh.
there.
Ini emang gede banget ya? Yeah.
Okay, if it, well,
But
yeah.
I don't think they're there. I think we're in the main room.
I think everybody
Yeah, I think
didn't have enough time to explore.
Yeah,
I think everyone's
we're on
just
the
here,
main room.
girl.
Damn.
Listen to the
balloon
taunts.
is not helping at all.
Yeah, the balloons
Yeah.
do not help. Oh, this is a
Yeah.
crazy map, girl.
Go on, Ollie.
Taunt.
Okay.
Even I'm
No
trying to
way.
find it. What the fuck
I'm
are
just
you?
gonna be honest. The town is not helping at all because it all seems the same to me. Like it was in stereo. I think it's in mono.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
So I could.
I mean-
I
Ray is literally increasing as you speak.
I know. Like, where the
Yeah,
fuck
so
is she?
has to be somewhere there, right?
She painted. Artinya dia di sini dong. Wait. Omo.
Okay, di situ Ray didn't. Di situ Ray increased. So
Yeah,
Oh.
so she has to be.
You want me to taunt
Damn,
beautiful
I'm so
lady?
Yes.
blind. I'm so blind.
Where
Like,
is Ray? I don't even see her.
I don't see her either.
I wonder if we can see the POVs of the hunter.
What
As
you,
like-
enggak harus free.
Yeah, we can only do free cam, so we can only see Muna's POV, and like it's so confusing.
damn.
Oh my god, Muna, I can see you, beautiful girl.
I'm still trying to find everyone else too. I actually can't see.
Yeah,
It's
this
so
is
hard.
bad. Oh my god, look at Race.
Yeah.
Oh my god, she keeps going up.
Semangat.
She must be
Semangat.
right there.
Yeah. Have you tried looking down?
Maybe in like the corner.
Yeah.
I don't see her down.
Maybe on
We're
the
all
maybe
helping
on
you,
the first
girl. We're
floor?
all just like Girimana.
What?
First floor, maybe?
Hey, mana ya? Where
Right?
is she?
It's getting louder. It's getting louder.
Getting louder. Okay.
Ray
Actually,
serem, Ray. Ray serem.
Iya, ini serem banget.
Mana sih?
Ketawanya
You
juga.
have such a beautiful face, Muna. So beautiful.
Oh my god.
She can
You
see
actually
you.
look straight into me, you know.
No way. You can't be with the balloons, girl.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna hate me. You're gonna hate me for this.
Di atas ya. You're in the ceiling ya.
Pasti. Somewhere in
The
the ceiling.
ceiling.
Oh, so
Definitely on the
it's
ceiling somewhere.
Hey, Muna.
I still can't see you though.
Muna,
Yeah?
stand up
Yes?
and turn around.
Huh?
Turn around. You see that chicken over?
Wait, I don't see everyone's face. Hold on.
Wait,
Wait.
Rachie?
Jadi
You
jakun
like that?
nanya ya.
You like?
Oh, Ray is up there, yeah.
Oh, the ship is over there.
Oh,
Okay.
That's a good
Why is
one.
Rachie and
Oh my
fucking Kanna Tamachi together?
Because we're sleeping together. Next
So
question.
we have like
Oh my
different,
God,
we have
you
different
did the
types
same
of
thing.
Ollie
artists.
and Ray had the same idea. Oh, that's crazy.
That is so hard.
It was really hard.
That's super hard.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that was very hard.
god.
Penguin Hotel.
Hey.
Holy shit.
That was
Penguin Hotel's
insanely hard.
I think that
Should
would be
we-
fun with like more people, right?
I think
Penguin
so.
Hotel. That's
Yeah.
so hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
With like 16 people, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's my speaker. It's in mono.
Oh no, that sucks. Should we do random or Penguin Hotel again or how? Or do you guys want to change to basic?
I'm ikut.
Okay.
I think it's fine.
I know you guys equal, but what's fun for you guys? I want you guys to have fun.
It's
I'm
been fun
gonna.
regardless.
I'm down for anything. I'll be hunter then, since I haven't done hunter yet.
Ooh,
Yes,
Ooh.
and let's do basic then.
Okay, let's do basic.
Because I
Wow.
want to see where everyone else is hiding.
Wow! Just say you hate me.
No, you're a veteran. You should be able to find us, right?
She's so
You know
good.
what? True.
You're like a
Listen, guys,
professional.
go gentle on me, y'all. I'm blind as fuck.
Oh,
Where are we?
let's go.
Alright, I'm
the
gonna
heck is
give you
this?
guys time to
Oh.
prepare.
What?
I saw so many clips of this area.
Wow.
You saw
I've
clips.
never seen this one before.
Yeah, I saw
Remember,
clips.
guys. Time to hide.
Oh.
True.
Aw.
Okay. Let's see if I can find a spot. That's not a spot.
What is that
Is
laugh?
that laugh, girl?
What is that laugh just now? I'm scared.
Girl, what is that?
I'm afraid.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
What am I supposed to do?
I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh wait. Oh shit.
I mean,
Chat, I might be cooked. I only have 50
I'm
seconds.
speaking.
Okay.
And anu what
Oh, guys, time's running out.
But if it's Michi, I bet she can find everybody.
Yeah.
that's true.
I'm
I
gonna
haven't
sniff
hit-
you out.
Oh shit, I haven't hit at all. Oh shit.
I'm gonna smell you.
Wait.
You're panicking, Ray. You're panicking. Ooh.
Yes, I am because I
Is that a
haven't
good
found.
spot?
No. with full honesty, this is a horrible spot.
Oh, you have 5 seconds.
Oops.
Oh
Rachie.
god. Oh,
dear
God.
Rachie.
Oh, Ollie, you sound so calm. Ready or not, here I come. Oh,
Guys,
this
I'm
fucking
cooked.
map. Someone's gonna be
Guys,
a
I'm
penis in this stupid.
Guys,
I've
I'm
seen
so
the
cooked.
clips. Rachie, eh? Rachie.
Oh,
I've
wait,
seen
wait.
clips of people being penises before. Tusk. Where are you?
Yeah, okay.
Whoa.
Srum.
I hear you.
Damn, she's Slytherin.
Oh,
This girl's
I
so
hear
fucking
you.
scary.
Serem banget.
Hunt again.
Wait. Okay. I need to.
Oh, no one's
Yeah, okay.
One's here.
Yeah, okay, good enough.
Are you here?
Or not.
Oh god.
Oh god.
Oh god.
Oh wait. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. No. No. Get me down.
Oh, crazy.
I really thought it
Ollie.
was a good spot
Yours
too.
is a good spot. I couldn't see it at all.
Alright, Taunters.
Oh
Wait.
shit. This girl's
Someone's in the
scary.
laundry
Wow.
room.
So scary.
Oh my god. Wait.
Kok nggak ngetaunt lagi?
Bentar, I just got into position. I was so.
Where is the walking white stick man?
No, you just knew.
Please.
Mana? Kok nggak ngetaunt lah?
I'm taunting. What the fuck are you?
I hear someone.
Oh my god,
somewhere
Kanna.
What?
I wanna see where.
here. Go
Wow.
on. Where are you? Taunt again. I know someone's in the
Holy
laundry
shit.
room.
Karena
Wait, I
kamu
can't-
keterlaluan sih.
Oh my god.
I swear.
Where's? Actually, don't know where
Where's
anyone
it?
is.
I heard someone here. Oh, Kanna.
Oh my
Oh, your
god.
timer's coming up.
Whoa!
Wow. Tamashi.
Man.
I
Man.
see you.
I'm just gonna full taunt.
Where are
That's good.
Ray, Moon? Someone's in the
Oh my
toilet,
goodness.
huh?
You are annoying, Ray.
Oh
I
my
hope you know
god.
that.
Oh
You
my
are so
god.
annoying.
Oh my god. No way.
Look at
No
that.
way.
I swear to
Are
God.
you?
Wow!
I swear. She's
No
doing
way.
the strat.
Again. Oh,
No way.
Hey.
Hey!
No way.
No, I'm so scared.
oh, you're over here.
She's slithering.
Ray,
Oh my god.
Muna, where are you?
This is actually really cute. I really like Muna's a lot.
I like Muna's a lot too. It's actually.
I've been
cute.
staring at
Really
Muna's
cute.
butt.
Cute, you say?
It's
I'll
really
find
cute.
you. Where are you, cutie?
Oh my god.
In the
Hindi mo ganun
kitchen.
kasali.
Oh, I wonder where she is. Oh God, this is really hard.
That's really romantic.
I've never seen a kitchen before, so this is really difficult.
Si LPG 3 kilo.
Well, let me just look at my t-shirt real quick. Don't forget to subscribe to Rachie, the birthday girl. No way!
You are too scary. You're too good at this game.
I mean, she's so good.
I
terrifying as hell.
should have not.
Rachie, I want you to know that the clip of someone becoming a horse penis, I just saw it this morning.
I never saw it before. That was my original idea.
I saw a clip of someone turning into a horse cock, and I'm like, oh, I wanted to use that idea.
That's my fucking downfall. Or Skunk and
Dang,
Ball.
she's too good.
Cock and ball.
Holy
She's
shit.
That was
too good.
scary.
To be
Such a
fair, the
funny
first game I played, we were stuck on that lobby like 7 billion times. At this point, I feel like I remembered that map.
Serem.
Seram.
Memang apa
Wait.
jam terbang itu nggak bohong ya, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real. Should we do one more
horse-
game and should we do one more game, guys?
Only one
Yes.
more?
Oh, okay, we'll do more. If anything for you guys, my beautiful ladies. I can never say no to a gorgeous, gorgeous girl.
You want me to be
Okay.
hunter again?
Agak serem sih tapi.
Gas.
You hide aja, you hide aja.
Yeah, you hide aja. You know what? I'll do my best. I don't think I'm gonna do well, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go.
I'm gonna kill myself.
Oh,
What map is it this time?
Oh.
We're back here.
Okay.
Wait, this is my worst map. I'm so bad here. Wait.
I don't know what to do.
Aduh, kemana ya? Where the?
Gimana ya?
How?
god.
I can't.
Wait.
Oh god.
Okay.
Oh, maybe? Oh no, wait, no.
Hmm?
No.
I'm
Aw,
scared.
no.
They sound so try hard. I'm scared.
Where the fuck do I go? Wait, what if? No.
Yeah, Ray is normal, taking 50 minutes to find a spot.
Stop! Stop!
Me,
You don't have
me
to
too,
keep
being absolutely quiet until she goes, oh, this is a good one.
Hold
Oh
on.
shit.
I got something you'll really like.
Oh, fuck! I don't want to hear that! That's like not what I want to hear at all!
Wait, chat, I might be. Oh god, chat, I might be cooked. Wait, chat, I might
Oh
be
my
cooked.
god.
Wait, I might be cooked. Hold on.
What's new?
on.
What's new?
Banger.
Okay.
I'm ready.
I'm not
Oh.
ready.
It's okay.
Come on, guys. Only 20 seconds left. You know what to do.
Kanna, you're sneaky, Ollie. Damn.
Oh no. Do you think I'll be able to find anybody?
Muna, goddamn.
Okay, I'm not ready. I don't know. Ah!
Wait. Control to move down. Okay. And then this way.
I believe in you, Rachie.
I will do my best. Oh shit, it's a cow. Fuck! Not this one again!
Okay.
Ah!
Piece of shit.
That's a lot of words.
Oh yeah, guys.
She was
Wow.
trying really hard.
Tried so hard. Saw the thing go on you as well, and I was like,
Everyone's
ah.
hiding spots are so dumb. Oh,
I don't know what you mean. I'm being sneaky. I'm ratting, dude.
Oh my god, Ollie, what the fuck?
What?
What?
Wait,
Oh no,
I
that means
swear.
everyone
Oh.
is try hard, dong.
Muna's is so
what?
funny.
Oh, you are evil.
That's so
What the
funny.
fuck?
No.
Kanna's being
can
so
see her.
evil.
Evil.
Me!
Yeah, Kanna is evil.
So I'm rat stratting, dude.
Wait, I hate that Michi's doing this with the
I hate.
Michi's is
No.
so funny. Michi's is so funny.
Man.
Oh my god. Ah.
Oh,
Beautiful
girl.
ladies, show yourselves. Reveal yourselves to me.
Killing herself.
She is so indeed.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I hear you, but I can't see you, gorgeous lady. Please reveal yourself.
She is literally fighting her demons right now, guys. Please take pity on her. She's literally like she hears the whistles, but she's not running to any of the right directions, and I love that for her. Like, why even whistle, guys?
Wow.
Absolute banger.
Wow.
Michi deserves an Oscar.
You'll never
Like-
believe it, guys. You'll never check this out. Hold on. Check this out. Right, hold on. Whoa, let me switch my little. There you go. You'll never see me.
That was so good. What the fuck?
Okay, for you, my lady, I will keep whistling.
I still, oh god, I'm still thinking. How did you manage to?
Why?
find
Nobody else
the
talk?
Kanna?
Where I'm listless. I'm taunting nonstop,
Why
girl.
is she looking at the horse cock for so long? What's there, girl?
Distracted. Di mana?
Girl, no way.
Di mana?
Please tell me she's not doing this for the bit.
Right?
Chat, is
What
this
are you
real?
looking
There's
at?
no way.
She doesn't know what grass looks like anymore, y'all.
Chat, is this real?
It's been too long.
I don't know. I don't know. I just want to be really sure, you know? Maybe.
You're very kind. I'm gonna just say that.
Oh, it's
Okay.
time for you to find
Kanna
Kanna.
is something else, though.
I'm
Jesus
sorry.
Christ, is she white again?
No.
No,
Even
no.
worse.
It's even worse. She's actually blending in too hard. I'm like, damn, I would
Very
not.
Damn,
kill
really?
her.
That's a dang.
Girl, listen, I didn't even think you could do that like there.
Huh?
Oh,
Di mana?
no, I
Passed
swear.
by her.
No.
You passed by her.
Pass
during
by
the fight.
her.
Now, why are we lying to this poor girl?
Why are we lying?
You're lying. She's whistling.
Trust your directional sound, Rachie.
You're honestly, this is a really hard spot. Not gonna lie,
Mhm.
I
It
wouldn't look.
is.
It is, girl.
Lo.
Oh my god!
Lo.
Hooray!
Yeah,
Wow.
it's such
She
a
did it.
specific spot. It's
You
such a
guys are
specific-
crazy.
But you found us.
Yeah, yeah.
She did it!
I love Muna's spot.
I like
know.
everyone's spot's so good. But nobody
No
became a horsecock.
I wonder why, girl.
Everyone's a horse cock.
In our hearts.
Hooray!
Damn, I didn't think you were already like behind. I was like, oh, I got my spot. I can paint now. And then I die. I'm like, oh, I just found a spot. It was so bad. I'm like, oh man, my hair. No.
You want to do it again?
Yeah. Let's
Let's
do
do
it
it.
again.
Let's do it again.
Which one is
Do it
your
again.
favorite map so far?
Ooh.
The farm one is getting easier, I think. The more that we play, the more like we start to
True.
know. The backrooms was fun. The backrooms is always really
Yeah,
fun.
backgrounds are really fun.
No!
Oh. Oh, speak of the goddamn fucking devil, let's go.
Oh my god, back room. Okay.
No!
Wait, I gotta figure this out. Wait, maybe? What the?
Agak bisa.
No.
Mau kemana Kanna Tamachi?
Galau.
Kemana?
I was following you.
Kemana Kanna Tamachi? Sini sini sini. Kanna sini sini. Sini sini sini. Oh enggak mau enggak mau enggak mau enggak mau. Cakep enggak? Cakep enggak? Cakep enggak? Goblok, cakep, 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 cakep. Boleh, 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 boleh. Sini, sini, sini.
Where?
Jadi-
That one.
Enggak kayak gitu juga.
Kalian di mana sih?
Di atas ya, biar natural gitu.
Oh my
Oh, bener,
god.
bener, bener, bener.
Fire
Bener,
natural. Oh my.
bener.
Wait, no, this might not
Kalian
work.
ya?
Kok nggak bisa sih katanya ke dalam?
Right. I know, right?
Oh, no.
We're literally not buried at all.
Okay, okay, never mind. Come here, Kanna. Come here, come here.
Ooh.
I have a plan, I have a plan. Sini, sini, sini. Sini, sini, yang ganti, ganti. Bener, bener,
I
bener.
think I know what you're doing.
They're so kocak, my god.
Duo.
How?
Mau ngapain ini? Kita mau ngapain ini? Boleh, nggak apa-apa, boleh, boleh. Cat ini, cat ini. Apakah kita Indonesia? Apa ini?
Indonesia.
Maci. Apakah kita
Wait, what
Indonesia?
the fuck are you guys doing?
King.
Oh my god.
Benar, benar.
Where are they?
Tak bantu.
Where are they?
Dia logat Jonya keluar.
Benar, benar.
Wait, where are
Patriotism.
they?
Jonya keluar.
Ini. Ah,
So
benar.
curious.
Right?
Kita berdiri aja, lebih blend in kalau berdiri. Kayak gini.
Oh my god.
Kayak gini,
Oh.
gini.
Wait,
Sorry,
I'm
di depan gua, di depan gua. Oh, oh. Ayo, gini. Benar, pegangan benar. Ah, benar. Benar, kita pegangan tangan yuk. Ah, benar.
Oh my
How the fuck are
god.
we blending in,
seperti
They
girl?
are
ini.
so pro.
That's so good.
You guys are so fucking pro.
We were trying so hard. She had no mercy.
Oh, look where Rachie is.
Kanna.
Oh,
Dude,
damn, Mister.
Mona is just really hyper focused. That hiding spot was so good.
The hiding spot was really
So
fucking good.
It was really good, yeah.
That
Right.
was too good. Next time we're gonna do something else really good.
I genuinely thought I was trying to be a nigiri.
Oh my god, I should have been on top of you so then we could be like the tiny sushis.
Exactly. That was like the plan.
Oh, okay, you're so smart. You're so smart.
Oh, that would have been good. Oh my god, Ray.
Oh my god.
Oh my fucking god.
Ray, oh my god. Huh? Tiba-tiba kayak Ray nih.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh
She's doing
my
the strat.
god. Itu gila.
She's
Itu
doing
gila
the
sih.
strat.
Itu gila sih.
She
Itu gila.
found the strat.
Langsung ke splat lagi.
Oh, Kanna, we were caught because Muna's locked in, not because we're bad.
Oh, yeah,
you're
she's
right.
locked
No,
in.
you're
This is
right.
like her
She's so
revenge
locked in.
round.
She's so-
She couldn't find anyone last time, and now this is her vengeance arc. In reality, no one would have
Exactly.
found us, girl.
Honestly,
Literally.
You're right. You're
You're
right.
so good right now.
We were the
You're so
Indonesian
good
flag
right
on a
now.
sushi.
Insane.
Ollie, you're so
Couldn't.
good. How? How did you think of
I
this?
swear.
Ollie's is good. Ollie's is really good.
At least
We're
really
for,
good.
like 2 games. I hope it works this time too.
Oh, is that a signal
Oh.
to Muna? She's gonna be like, oh, I know which strats she used.
No, I don't.
It's okay. Oh.
I mean, she's winning this
Oh.
through like pure skill. Look at her go. Look at her fucking go.
Look for Rachie. Look for Rachie.
Rachie's really hard.
Is mine hard?
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah, girl. I mean, not as hard as mine and Michi's, but like, you know.
I know, that's
Yours
what I'm
is
saying,
because
girl.
I would never expect to look. The thing is, right? Our hiding spots really tell us about like where we look first. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I was a hunter, where would I look? Ah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, Ollie's hiding spot is 100% where Muna would hide.
Yeah, this is like a
Yeah.
very Muna spot.
That's a hint.
I don't think she got the hint, girl. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like, you good. Oh, she's okay. You know, I'm gonna pull the strat of commentating on a gameplay.
Ooh.
She's now looking. She's looking at something. She's looking at the other thing. Where is she gonna go?
Oh, she's trying to
Her
see.
non-surround sound
What?
speakers are gonna screw her over this
It
time?
really
Question mark.
is.
She's now checking on cubicles.
Ooh.
Each and every single
Ooh.
Where is she going?
Where's she
He's
going?
going back into the
Wow.
phenomenal hiding spot of me and Kanna Tamati.
That's where you guys were.
God damn.
I thought you guys were on
was
top
so
of the
good, she
cave.
had to double check. That's just
The
how
first
good
one
it
was also
That's
good.
how good
We
it was.
moved. That's the problem.
The cake
That's true.
made me laugh so fucking hard. Dang. This would have also been a good one. Not really. Wow, dang.
Damn, you guys are killing it. It's so. It's
Yeah.
crazy,
Ollie's
man.
never gonna be found, I fear.
I don't think so. I
know,
think I'm gonna be
right?
found
Yeah.
first before Ollie. Ollie's is so
No,
good.
That's
No, it's really good.
Seriously, where
I
are
don't
you,
think I
Ollie?
would.
I don't think I would look. I genuinely don't think I would
What's
double
up? I genuinely-
double. Yeah. Kayak alam basar gitu.
Oh my
You got
god.
this,
Speakers
girl.
are literally fucking her in the ass right now.
I know. Girl, put on
That's
some
crazy.
earphones.
Oh, I cannot.
Okay.
It's so close, but I couldn't find it.
Oh, you're gonna hate yourself for this
Delia,
Muna.
Yeah, yeah. You're gonna hate yourself for missing Ollie's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ollie's is so good.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I so
There is no way.
No
Oh my god.
This is so cinema.
Oh my
Sometimes it's
Oh my
good to take a
God.
moment to breathe.
Moon.
Girl.
Then you just want to stop.
Kitty.
and-
Damn.
on the last second.
Oh,
Where's Rachie?
Damn.
Rachie, where are
Rachie's
you?
here. Rachie is under the in the cubicles under the table.
We were so good.
She's under
though.
the table.
Under the table?
Yeah,
The cubicle.
on the cubicle section, girly.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm
That's why,
down
like,
here.
That's crazy.
It's so hard.
That's
It's really
crazy.
hard.
Oh yeah, that's so hard. That's so hard. Gee.
Damn.
That's
A
so
little
good.
baby.
Oh,
But she won us that round.
Yes!
Oh,
Basic is hard.
Kanna gak mau
Listen,
jadi
Kanna, we
hunter.
gotta. Yeah, my
Ooh.
Kanna, ayo
camouflage
jadi hunter dong,
duo.
kan?
I suck. Go.
No, but what if you can find all those really, really like hard spots because you're good at hiding? You
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Camouflage duo. No.
Okay.
We
I
finally
will
had
try.
a strat going on.
Are we ready then?
You're right.
Are we
Oh,
ready?
no.
You're gonna be a hunter?
I'm so
gonna
sad
miss
I'll
you.
even twerk a little. Oh. Oh. I'm twerking out of sadness right now.
I'm just.
Oh no. My
Good luck, good luck, good luck, good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Go easy on me.
Wah. Nah, ini.
I really like this map.
Ah.
Hmm.
Should I try again?
You'll never believe it. Honestly, second time's the charm.
Honestly, second time's the charm, but I think people know by now.
No, how could they?
How could they?
I'm just discovering the world.
Like a little baby.
Okay.
Muna.
How can I go up?
Hold spacebar.
Oh, okay.
Tapi kelihatan nggak sih dari sini?
Harus apa tuh?
Penmanship.
You have to wall climb basically if you want to climb.
Monday.
And then a heart.
Okay.
This
You know
one.
Does that look like a heart?
Oh wait, that's not it. This is not the color.
How do you rotate?
Maybe this. I think. Boleh. I want to see where everyone else is.
You'll never believe mine.
Girl, what the fuck? Girl, yours is crazy!
There we go.
Holy
Wait,
shit!
no way! Wait,
No, go-
everybody
Whoa!
Me too.
Girl.
I'm cooked, aren't I?
That
I'm
is-
cooked.
That's
Girl.
mean.
Damn.
Girl.
Am I cooked?
It's, oh my god.
Wait,
oh my
I
god!
Oh God!
You'll
Here?
never
Oh my
believe it.
god. Everyone's is
Wait,
really
where?
good. Wait, this is
Yeah. Good luck, Kanna.
Here?
Okay,
Holy
Loki,
shit.
this
Oh
my
is so mean for Kanna, bro.
wrong.
This is just
wrong
so
horse,
mean.
girl. Wrong horse. Ooh.
What do you mean? Oh, did I accidentally crouch? Oh.
Wrong horse.
Wrong
Wait, where's
horse.
everyone? Ew.
How
This
many
is so
horses
cruel
are
for
there?
Kanna, bro.
Wrong horse.
Wow.
Wait, where is? Oh wait, I haven't looked at Muna's.
Oh, is Rachie there?
Oh my god. Okay.
How many horses are here?
What the? Whoa.
Everyone's is like Ninja Warrior. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You can
I've never-
do that?
This
Michi?
place
What
is
the fuck?
huge.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think you
I'm a
should. I think you
one-color
should look
Andy,
for people. Yeah. I'm a one color Andy too. Jesus Christ, girl.
Kanna.
Girl, yours is crazy.
Whoa.
Holy shit.
Ayo, di mana ayo? She's taunting me so hard.
Gimana hayo?
Gimana? Ayo.
Gimana
Ayo
hayo?
lo.
Hayo.
I have no idea how Muna would.
Hayo.
Muna, I'm so sorry we subjected you to this before. With your speakers, goddamn girl. What
I
the heck? I
know.
don't even know how to go back to the main room.
You gotta look for it, girl. You got this.
You got this. you
Follow the
got this.
taunts. Follow the taunts.
I passed Michi how many times already?
Don't worry. I miss you, man. I miss you. You should come back.
Wrong horse.
You keep checking horses. You're scaring the living shit out of the poor girl.
Kasi- Follow the whistle.
Guys, I think her speaker is fucking her in the ass.
No, I hear
Both of their
it.
speakers. It's crazy.
What the heck?
Wow.
I'm
That's
never gonna find
masterful
it.
trolling.
Wow.
There's so many ringing.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Dang.
We believe in you. You got this.
Bro.
kid.
You got this, girl.
Someone taunt.
We're taunting.
You sound really close and really far.
Ooh, that sounded really close, huh?
Oh.
Huh? What
Keep
the hell?
talking.
Holy crap.
Tiny.
Damn.
Whoop. Okay, there we go. Ayo. Ayo, Miss Tamachi.
Banger.
I swear.
Michi's is crazy.
I
Yeah,
know.
Michi's
Thank
is
you.
way crazy.
Yeah.
Michi's and Muna's are like insane. Like, what is this?
A part of me wants a taunt so
actually-
then I can fuck her over.
I think you should.
Go. Hit the taunt me.
Sadly,
What
sadly,
the
it's not
heck?
there.
Am
You
I
can't even
just
hear me talk.
blind?
Not blind. You're
You're not
fine.
blind.
You
You're
got
fine.
I think we gotta taunt one at a time for her.
this.
Okay.
Siapa dulu?
How?
You can pick a name.
Well, not Michi. Muna.
We're not there.
Yeah, Muna.
I don't think she can even hear our taunts if we
Nah.
taunted.
Yeah.
Really? You're that
Yeah,
far?
Kajawan.
Rachie then.
Hmm.
What?
We
What? What?
Oh.
Taunt
Me and
again?
Rachie are neighbors
Damn.
technically, right? We're just neighbors at this point.
Because, like, the score isn't going up either. It means I'm not anywhere that near? Am I close?
I can
You're
see you.
What the
Yeah.
heck? Really?
Kinda.
Can I just shoot everything? Will I die?
Everyone's so mean to
can.
Kanna this game.
But give
I
me your
literally
headphone
see
before.
nothing. I swear.
I
Even if
feel bad
you
for her
all
now.
just jump out and start running, I don't think I can find you. That's how dumb I am right now.
You'll never believe it, girl. If you look right there,
So all of us, we have like the same hiding idea, except for Michi.
Yep.
How?
What do you
We're
mean?
Brown.
I'm cooking.
How do you even? What the hell?
Nice, sorry.
Look for Michi.
I got.
Where's Michi?
Wait, did I die? No. Okay, we did it.
No.
It's
just an answer check.
Crazy.
Look at
Michi's is
Ray.
insane.
Oh my god.
You'll
Ray's
never
like
believe
right
it. I'll
there.
do the strat again.
Oh my god, you're crazy. That was a hard one. Everyone like locked in for that.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Okay, should we do one last one?
Yeah. Sure.
Aww.
She wants to keep going. She wants to
I
keep
love
trolling. This game is really fun.
Mm-mm.
Basic in
No,
that
Kanna,
map
you
is
looked
crazy.
right at me like for 3
I
whole
did?
seconds.
Where
Yeah.
were you?
So
In the void.
insane.
She was in the
She's
void.
so
I
insane.
was in the
Damn.
void.
Okay, who wants to be a hunter?
I don't want to be a hunter. I've already
Hey,
been
randomize.
for a time already.
Aku mau.
Oh,
God.
Holy.
In sekarang juga.
Please not the barn. Please not the barn. I'm so bad.
Follow the
at
barn,
it.
Leggy. I think we're screwed.
Oh.
Okay.
It's been a while.
It has.
Oh, please don't tell me. Oh, I think I know what map it is. Oh.
Yeah, janganlah.
Do you think I should redo this? Nah.
I will be really sad if you do.
Okay.
Have like
Man.
Splatoon music playing in the background. This is so fun.
I love Splatoon.
I love Splatoon.
Okay.
Never even.
Mana ya?
Huh.
This place is huge.
Huh.
Ah, man.
Wait, no, that's the wrong color picker. This one.
How?
Okay. And then
Oh, mungkin di situ, actually.
Oh shit, that's the wrong color. It's this one.
Should I just?
Coba ya.
Should I
Coba ya.
just?
Coba ya. Bisa nggak ya?
Should I just? Oh,
Wait, actually.
yeah.
Nggak jadi.
Oh.
It's okay. I believe in you, girl.
Okay, wait, I gotta double check.
I'm shining.
Cuma.
Okay, I
Oh,
think I'm okay.
shoot.
Oh
I
shoot.
think I'm okay. I think I'm okay.
I want you to know, Ollie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure there's a big sign from the universe just for you.
Oh, I think I know what that means.
What does that mean?
You want to see my POV?
Wait, I wanted to see where Michi is. Wait.
Ew.
There's a big sign that will tell you. The universe will tell you where I am.
Holy shit.
You're somewhere nearby the the sign, huh?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh no, man! I don't think
You'll
I can
never
ever
believe
find
it.
Michi.
The sign from the universe is very subtle today.
Yeah. Oh my god.
You must listen to your heart.
Are you gonna move?
Okay, sure.
Ooh. 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 Everybody's sweaty. Oh.
Where is she? Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Ooh. I got a feeling.
Ichi, what the fuck?
I already moved. Sadly,
Yeah.
now I'm in a sweatier position.
Girl, you're so troll. Holy shit.
I'm just trying to win.
Holy shit. I think Kanna's gonna win.
Wait, I haven't looked at Kanna's spot yet.
Oh my god, everyone is so fucking sweaty today.
Fucking Muna's, dude. What the?
I know, I looked at Muna's. Oh my
Wait, what the hell
god.
did Kanna-
Lee,
I don't think she's. Gonna
everyone's
find Kanna or Muna,
sweating.
dude.
Oh, what the?
Has
What?
to be here.
You can do that? Damn. Oh my, wait. Whoa, whoa.
Muna's is so good.
Someone has to
Oh.
be here. There's no.
There
There's
are
no
areas
way.
you haven't explored here, girl. You gotta keep looking.
Wow.
You're not gonna find me this time, Lee, up there.
I need to find where. Oh my god, Rachie, beautiful.
You'll
Wait, I
never
need to
believe
find-
it. You should have killed me when you had the
Oh
chance.
my god!
Now I have changed my mind, and now
How the
I'm
hell
hiding in
did
a
you-
secreter place.
How did
How
you
the
fucking
hell?
find it?
What the fuck?
Jesus.
How? What the Kanna? That,
Oh my
wow.
god. Oh my god!
That's so evil. What the fuck?
Muna and
I'm
Kanna are
sorry.
like insane.
Sorry.
I know, it's actually insane.
Muna,
Oh,
the game penalties you.
Oh, Kanna spot though. It's so. Oh, it's so.
I
Oh.
saw something around here.
Oh my god. Wait, how?
I know, that's what I'm saying! Dang, girl!
Oh my god.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Oh, very close. I hear it. You don't reckon you want to rustle again? Oh,
This is
oh gosh.
this is be tough.
Eating me alive.
Girl,
You're so
you're
sexy
so
from-
good. You're actually
You're
so,
so
good.
sexy from
Gila,
this view, girl.
Kanna.
You're
Gila,
so
Kanna.
sexy.
Gila!
Show yourself. I
Gila!
know you're watching me. Shit.
There's no.
Wow.
Wait, there's another one here.
Even crazier, girl.
Kayaknya Kanna, but I don't think you can find her, dude.
I don't think you can find Kanna.
That's so
No,
crazy.
I wouldn't know.
This has to be a
So
bug.
crazy.
Like that's
What?
crazy.
Oh,
That's really
You're so
crazy.
sexy
That's
from
so-
here.
oh my god.
Girl, you can
You're
find
so
her. You can find her. I
sexy.
believe.
Thank you for believing. I will find
I
you,
believe.
Kanna-Rachi.
Oh
my
I
god.
believe.
Oh
I
my
just think you have
God.
bad
Look
aim.
at
Damn, Kanna.
Sexy.
I believe.
Holy
Keep
shit.
taunting.
Keep taunting,
Holy
Kanna.
shit.
Kanna.
Actually.
I can't even hear the
You're-
tone with
Yeah,
you guys
girl.
talking in the background.
You will not believe this.
Holy shit. Step on me, girl.
Look at it. Right?
It's
That's
so good.
insane. That's
It's so good.
insane.
It's so good. Like
That's
even
such
if
a
you
good
look at, if you
spot.
crouch from the other side, like from the bottom, you can't see it. It's so hard to see.
It's so hard to see.
It's so good.
Man.
All I'm saying is the only time Kanna got caught was because of me. And the other time, Kanna's alone, she's fine.
That's true.
It's so true. She's crazy.
That is
You're
so
really
crazy.
good at this.
I know. This is scary. We need to play this off stream at some point too. It's fun.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
But
was the
yeah,
last game.
that was the last game. Unless we want to do one more encore.
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 Yippee.
Okay, since you guys asked, I guess we'll do one more game for the encore. Hey, what should we do different this time?
We haven't went to the cake in a while, actually. Now that I think about
Okay.
it.
Oh yeah.
Cake
True.
then? Last one cake?
Last
Okay.
one for
Okay.
the
Are-
birthday girl.
All right, guys. Let's play a game. Is this real? Was what we had real or was it cake?
Was it real or was it cake?
Was it real or was it cake?
Was it real or
Playing but-
cake?
Oh, you're the hunter?
Yeah.
She's the
Good
birthday
luck.
girl.
I'm the birthday
Shit.
girl.
Kanna, sini Kanna.
Let's
go.
Jangan
Ini
Kanna.
Kanna.
You're good.
Let's go. Sini Kanna.
Hmm. Do you think I'll be able to find them, chat?
Sini Kanna.
Where'd I go?
Sini. You're gonna get her
Sini.
killed, girl.
Sini. No, gimana ide ya? Gini gak sih?
Oh, wait. Let's find a thing.
Ya kan?
Whenever
Do you
you
wanna
say,
be
"Oh,
like-
gini," it's never any
Why
good.
don't make it look like a... Wait.
Oke, gini.
Oh.
Benar. Begitu.
Ya
boleh.
kan?
Kayak gitu.
Oh my
Yes!
god,
Oh
I'm
my
never
God,
gonna
I
find
see
them,
it.
am
You
I?
go.
Cat ya.
Right? Yeah.
I'm never gonna find them. I fucking know it. I'm never gonna find them.
Warnanya kayak gimana sih? Ini kali ya?
Oh. Huh. Wait, let me think.
Wait,
ya,
I
wait,
need to
bentar
assess.
ya.
I need to.
Sabar.
No, this is horrible. I need to find another spot.
Ini kah? Dude, Kanna, literally, she will never find us.
Don't say that.
Yeah, you're
We
right.
need to make it challenging for her.
True.
Encore round.
Oh,
that's
that's
true.
your...
Kayak gini gak sih? Bagus gak sih?
Yeah. But you need to do your feet.
Warna apa?
Me.
Actually, I might just. Okay, I'll just
Bentar,
yellow.
kayak gini nih.
I'm scared.
Oh, dude, she'll
You
never
guys are
find us.
using.
Yeah,
Enggak, satu
yeah.
warna aja kali ya? Apa?
Boleh. Sikat.
Oke deh.
You're right. You're the
mantap.
bottom of your... The bottom of
Aduh,
your
gue
foot, girl.
takut. Takut ini. Kalian di mana?
Badan lu,
Oh,
badan
you're abstracted. Oh my god.
Badan lu nih. Kalian di mana
Oh my
ini?
Michi and Kanna, you
Benar,
guys
benar.
are the
Apa?
worst.
benar.
Wait, I need to find them. Wait.
Warna pantat lu beda, cuy.
Masa sih?
You know what? I feel like I should change now. You guys are doing the same.
Oh.
You'll never believe it. Um.
Oh. Oh.
Oh, bagus, bagus, bagus.
Oh.
Bagus, bagus. Bagus sekali, bagus sekali.
Hey, 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 hey.
Oh, watashi no nakama.
No, we did it.
Oh my god.
Run for your life. Wow, banger.
Wow.
Wow.
Wait, that's actually smart though.
I call this the sacrificial lamb strat. Banger.
God, am I cooked?
You can leave me the whole time. Just go senpai.
Ray.
What the hell? This is crazy.
Oh my god, Ray, you're so dumb. But
Dude,
we're
Kanna,
dumb together.
Kanna, look at Muna.
Wait.
Just look at Muna.
Hey.
Fall there.
Oh wait, I actually haven't found Muna. What?
No, you need to see Muna.
The hell?
I
We'll have
swear.
to look at Muna.
Wait. Oh wait, I'm gonna try to find Muna. I haven't seen.
No, you have to see Muna.
If you click
Wait.
5 and then you use your mouse
Alright,
left
you're
click and
so
right click,
smart.
banger.
I swear.
Oh my god. Oh my god. My beautiful shiny encore. Ah, these guys.
Shiny
That's
smiley
so-
encore.
Wait,
My shiny
oh my
smiley
God.
encore. Ah,
So
copyright
good.
Hololive cover corp 2016.
That's actually so
Italian.
good. We're also stupid this round.
No, I swear.
How the fuck did Rachie see me instantly, right? And not fuck ass Muna, dude. I don't get it. I don't understand.
Know what? Because she loves you so much.
You're my Oshi girl.
Oh,
What am I gonna
girl.
do?
Yeah.
I stood up too proudly.
I think so.
I was,
Wait, what are you?
Literally. Oh my god, girl.
Oh my god, everyone is so good.
Yeah. So are you.
Yeah, you're actually so good.
Muna,
Beautiful
like I
ladies,
don't think she
please
can
don't
find
me.
you.
I swear, I can't believe. I can't believe I'm still alive.
What the fuck? What do you mean? Ah! It's driving me insane.
There is no
It's
way.
amazing that Kanna is alive, yeah.
Yeah,
It's amazing you're alive, Ollie. The fuck?
No, it's so good. Like if you look at it from my angle, like you can't really see actually. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Is
Honestly,
everyone?
almost as blended in as Muna.
Where is
Not as
everyone?
much as Muna though. Muna is on a completely different level.
How is everybody here? And I
She's
can't
literally like right there.
Sayang, I'm on my knees.
We're all
Oh my god, I hate you all.
We're all literally helping.
Mm-hmm. We're not hiding in crevices, by the way.
I
Yeah,
know.
we're not.
I'm trying to look insane.
Don't shoot the ginger man's penis.
Is anyone a horse cock? Are there horses here?
Oh no.
There is no
Wait.
way.
No, wait, what? No way!
There is no
We're
fucking way.
literally-
Are you
we're-
serious? How is Muna getting away with this?
It's a bit. I feel like it's
You
a
can-
bit. He's doing this for the
No,
views.
you can literally
Yeah,
shoot
so-
3 people from there. Girl,
Yeah.
Don't see anybody.
We
You
are within
100%
range.
can.
I seriously can.
you
Okay,
literally
girls,
can
stay
shoot 3
right here,
people.
right? Stay right here and wait until they. You'll never believe where they are.
Where?
Now, girl, it's a fucking
Oh
glowing
my
red color.
God.
Turn around, Rachie.
Whoa.
No, turn
Who
around.
else? Who?
Turn to your right.
No,
No fucking way. Kanna was up there too.
Girl, turn around. Turn the fuck around and look up
To your left. To your left.
to your left.
My left here?
left,
red,
literally
red,
the
red.
top
There's something
ginger
red.
house.
She's been like that the whole game, girl. The whole fucking game.
He did not move. He stayed true.
I don't get it.
Not gonna lie, you're trying to wash, Rachie.
Yeah, Rachie, you can't end on a loss.
Oh, no.
You can't end on a
No, you guys were too
loss.
good.
No, I can't believe I'm alive. You literally shot at me.
I thought you were gonna get shot too. I was like, wait, no.
That would have been insane. 2 birds with 1 stone.
She literally didn't hear our dialogue before of her being like, "Faith your faith."
I did not. That's crazy.
Oh my god.
I saw my body flop over Kanna, and you left, and I was like, "Oh my god, banger, banger trap."
Thank you guys so much for playing with me. That was really fun. It was so fun. Yeah. Guys, don't forget to follow my girlies. Do you guys have anything you guys want to like share and promote? Starting from, do we want to go OBS left to right? Kanna first?
No, I'm good. I just want you to check out all my other girlies. Look at that. Did you hear Michi's new original song yet, guys? If you
She thinks
haven't,
she's so funny. She thinks she's so funny.
But yeah, follow her socials too. Kanna Tamachi at Kanna Tamachi everywhere.
Yay.
Next down the list, Ollie, do you have anything you want to share?
I recently released a cover with my good friend from Japan, Haruka Zonchu. We covered Undead. Yeah, on her channel.
Check it out on Ollie's channel.
Yay! Also, everybody look forward to Rachie's birth week. She has a lot of things planned, so make sure you guys stay tuned.
Thank you.
Yeah!
Next down the line, Michi.
You won't believe it. I died so Kanna could promote my shit. Hell, let's go. Hell, thank you. Oh, you see that?
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Banger.
What
Check
stuff
out-
do you want to promote? Say it.
Check out my original song on YouTube. Banger.
Banger.
How excited I am from how I
You can
said it.
dance to
Girl, you
it.
sound so dead. At least put a little bit of
Wow.
like zhuzh in it. It's a good
Guys.
song.
Go, guys, if you haven't
Yes.
yet, it's gonna be a life changer. Go click the subscribe button on Rachie's channel as it's her birthday soon. Don't forget to click the 200 gifted subs. Oh, banger, I'm telling you, it's basically free. Whoa!
Exactly.
Whoa!
Yay! Go stream Michi's new
Banger.
song, Nevermore. Very, very good. Very banger.
Nevermore.
Nevermore.
That's not even the title of the song. Yeah, let's go Nevermore.
Nevermore.
Nothing evermore
No,
for Gore.
Nothing Nevermore? Dude, I love Nothing Nevermore. It's just
More
Nothing
Than
More
This,
because I was
was it?
too...
Nothing
I think it's just
More.
Nothing More.
Oh,
I actually
Banger.
found
Oh,
him.
nothing
Yeah,
more.
nothing more. It's so good. Huge. Next down the line, Muna. Anything you want to promote?
I don't have anything to promote for myself, but don't forget to watch all of the stream of Rachie, the birthday weekend.
Last but not least, do you have anything you want to show and share with the chat?
Please listen to my original song, Heart in Flames. I would be really happy. And also, if you are a big Awooga fan, big Rachie fan, please use the frame so that you can share to everyone on Icon Decoder that you are. Oh my god, my brain died for a moment.
You got this,
That
you
you
got
are
this.
That you are a big Rachie, big love, and also new song coming up at the end of Rachie Week. I'm so excited. Your original song.
Wait, can I
Thank
do that
you.
pose again?
Which one?
Pose?
The one right before this. Hold on,
What
hold on.
the
Let me cook.
What the fuck? What the?
Okay, continue,
What are
continue. We're doing a
What are you trying to be? You're just giving her a blowjob.
Oh,
banger. No, this is how to ad read.
ad read?
Yeah, it's like when you promote your stuff, right? It's like a
Yeah,
banger.
yeah, sure. Banger.
Go check out Ray's original song. Banger.
Go check out everyone's original songs.
It's original
Check out everyone's channels. Yippee! Thank you guys all for coming. I'm just gonna
So
transition to
romantic.
chatting with my chat now. So
Okay.
Let's raid into
we'll catch
her.
up later.
Yeah,
Yes,
we need to go raiding. Yes,
you guys
yes,
will
yes,
be
yes,
so
yes.
sweet. Bye. Thank you.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I love this game. I love this stupid
This
game.
game is really fun.
This is so
So
fun.
funny.
Wang. And beep, 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 beep. First of all, I almost forgot that I'm streaming. But I didn't, and that's the good news. Holy crap. Wait. I am streaming, right? I am. Just last I checked. Cheese. There we go. Let's go to the other thing. So I stopped exposing people. Beep, 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 beep. Whoa, is the chat still shared? How do you leave that? Wait. I don't know how to end it. Okay. Mimi. Mods. Mods. How? Wait, I got this. Cause oh. There must be a button for it somewhere. Wait. Wait. Surely. Oh, this button. Did it work? Did it work? Oh, let me take a... There we go. Wow. Wow. That was so much fun. I really liked the game. The game was so much fun. Holy crap. Holy crap. I want to play again. Hunting sucks. Hiding is great. I only waited for the last round. Oh, you should see. I think my peak was in the first few games. She wants another round. I know. Me too. I didn't realize. What time is it? How long did we play? Did we play for like an hour? What time is it? You're too good at being sneaky. You know what it is? I'm just too lazy to think, actually. 2 hours? The face... I swear. I swear. I'm just lazy, I fear. I saw everyone else's and I'm like, wow. Michi Mochivi followed you. Wait, what? You're so dumb. Kanna, sino one more round? Really? You're playing again? Wait. Okay, I'm coming. You never follow. Yeah, she hates me. Actually, no, actually. You know, yeah, exactly. Okay. Coming. She hates me, actually. Yeah, check out Michi Mochivi. She just followed me. This person who I've never talked to before ever. Give her VIP. How do I do that? Please tell me it's just slash... Sorry, I forgot. I'm kidding. Is it this? I'm so smart. I typed that down. Okay, chat, thank you so much for watching tonight. Just don't give her 7 TV access. What would happen, really? Okay. I'll start posting schedules and things very, very soon. Thank you so much for waiting. It was so much fun. I had a blast. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Wait, can we raid Rachie? She's still streaming, right? Rachie is just Rachie, right? Okay. Right? Yes, I do still remember how to raid. I'm a genius. Okay. Oh. Okay. Oh. I forgot how to do it. There's a button. Okay, chat. I'll see you guys next time. I'll post the schedule probably where? Where did I use to post schedules? Twitch. Thank you guys so much. Have a blast. Have a wonderful day or the rest of your night. Whatever it is. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. I have to pee. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. I say that. Wait. Hold. There.